Melty? Well, because that's just... He is kind of a procrastinator, won't man.
Look at my cigarettes.
A cigarette.
I lost my smokes!
Lost my cigarette.
I need to cut down. I need to cut down on my smoking.
Not you, though, there, still.
Huh?
No. I'm not going to look at you, little puppy.
God damn it, I can shoot.
Let's see if there's any squirrels out here. Yeah, Christina Harley is doing this stuff. I doubt it, though. Nope. Nope. It's cold out here. Nippy. Nippy, nippy now. Alright, come on, buddy. Let's get back into the warmth that is the garage. Come on, Zooks. Come on, boy. Zukov. Oh my god, you butt. Come here. Come on, boy. Come on, buddy. Come on. What are you doing? Come on. Come on. Really taking your time? Let's go. You silly boy. He's being silly.
What are you, streaming?
I just started. I was about to go in there, but now he's being a butt. Come here.
He's like, no.
No. Staring. Come here, boy.
Come on, dipshit.
Come on. Really? No? Zukov, boy. What are you doing just standing there? Got a stick? Oh shit, now he's all curious. There's a stick. It landed over here. Wait, where did it go? I saw it fall.
I'm having regrets now.
Did it land right here? What the hell? Did I just somehow disappear a branch? I did. Oh, I found it. There it is. What are you regretting?
Huh?
Wait, what are you regretting?
Getting him this front end.
Oh, that front end? Oh, wasn't it always on it?
Huh?
Wasn't it always on it, though?
What, on that trike?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait a sec. Damn jacket on me.
Yes, but look how badass it looks on this.
Hold on, let me get over there. There. So what? What on?
Nothing. I'm having regrets from throwing. Some really nice front end. Why do I give him all my nice shit?
I don't fucking know.
Why do I always give my nice shit away?
Yeah, it's supposed to be like, you know, the businessman. You give all the poor quality shit to everyone else that you sell, and then you keep quality stuff for yourself.
If you see me with a grinder towards any bike frames, tell me to stop.
Well, why do you rely on me to do it? Do that to yourself. Like, I mean, why don't you stop?
Because Harley has no self. We know I have no self-control.
We should figure out what it is, buddy.
Huh?
Maybe you should figure out what that is there, buddy.
Nah. Life's more fun without self-control.
No, it's not. Not really.
Depends who you ask.
Well, I guess also depends on what you do, but still.
What is this cancerous music?
Oh, I thought you liked, you know, living without any impulse control. Just let it roll. Just roll with it.
Fuck that! I fucking hate. Oh, look what I did! Look what I did to my arm with my bowl piece last night.
What'd you do?
Look what I did with my bowl piece last night.
A bowl piece? How'd you do that? Ow. How'd that happen?
My bowl beat my skull bone. Also has a fucking skull down stem.
You mean a bowl?
Bowl
that goes
piece,
into the
down
sound
stem,
stem?
whatever
Yeah.
the fuck you call it. You know what I'm talking about. I didn't realize it was fucking that hot.
Because you like cooked it too long, basically.
Oh, I was roaching a goddamn bowl. I was getting fucking.
Well, yeah, when you had like my bowl, you can kind of tell you used to have something that you can kind of pick off, you know, and lift without having to burn yourself, but that broke off. Bowl still works.
Nah.
But every now and then, yeah, it does get hot and you can burn yourself.
Fucking. I got it too hot and I didn't realize it was super hot. And you know me. I like fire, heat. I was a little stoned and I pressed it against my fucking skin.
So being done with it, really?
I didn't think it was that hot.
It's glass. Like, it ain't gonna actually show itself being hot. It's like, you know, it doesn't glow red hot until it's like multiple hundreds of degrees, bro.
I've literally done it like a million times, and then this time I actually went through my skin.
Yeah, because it's thicker, denser, probably, I'm assuming, glass that is going to retain more heat and more energy.
Lesson learned, Harley's a crazy son of a bitch.
Well, we knew this.
No, I'm gonna bring over probably this weekend the rest of the other trike. Why do I always do what? What am I, just a trike guy now? I'm just a trike.
You upgrade from bikes to trikes.
I really want to get one. I really want to get one with like a basket in the back.
Like a fat, like, basket kind of trunk
Yeah,
thing.
but like
Dude, that'd be pretty dope. Or if you
with
get
a
like a little mini trunk or something.
Like with a fat ass little cart. So I can put all my goddamn car batteries in it and fucking pedal up to the fucking auto parts store to go get them charged. I really, and I know this is going to be a fight between me and Tyler, I really don't want to put the ape hangers back on there.
Does he want them on there?
I'm pretty sure he's going to want the ape hangers back on. I really want to put some, like, cruiser bars on there, so you're not, like...
Yeah, well, I mean, if you sit high enough, I mean, which I'm assuming that's the way you're going to weld the seat to be, is to be higher. I mean, it would actually be a little better because then it's instead of being like all the way up here, it's more like just kind of more relaxed about it.
I don't know. It depends. I'll come to this fucking. I'll come to this when I get to the when I get all the pieces back.
Yeah.
Like
no, I guess I mean you would want to probably ask him about it. Be like, hey, do you want ape hangers or do you want like cruiser bars or something? You know, actually see what he really wants.
I'm also robbing parts off lots of bikes in the back.
I always have one that's like functional for me. Like my little tank actually needs like I think the rear tire fucking replaced maybe because I think it's a flat. I don't mean like loose.
Oh, good the fuck luck.
That's what I mean. So
good the fuck luck.
So that
you know,
that big boy's been out of commission, and you know one of my beach cruisers. I know you were messing with it, so I just haven't like.
What, the purple one or the fucking white one?
Well, the white and blue one, I use that a little bit predominantly most, but I use both of them, at least when they were both
I know the purple
running.
one has no front tire.
Yeah. The purple one don't got no front tire no more.
And Harley's auto bicycle carnage. Harley took the front wheel, put it on a different bike. Then I let somebody borrow that bike, and they got the bike stolen. So I don't have a front tire for that bike anymore.
Wow.
This leads me to the belief: don't lend your shit out to people.
Oh shit! Sneeze. Yeah. Whoa. Oh my god. Ambush sneeze. Goddamn. I don't want to get ambush sneeze here. Jesus. Joseph. My lord. Hey. Well, ain't stuffy. Nice. Anyway, get this out of there. There we go. Here, let's put a lose around. See what like little fun news is happening. Hey, you know what? Actually, do some tunes or something first. Actually, look it. Move you over here. Oh. There we go. Okay, actually, that's my. I'm just gonna put you down there. Go down there. Then you can be right there. There we go.
Unplug the room.
Boop. There we go. Alright. And I am tired as fuck today. Maybe it's still 6-day work weeks are probably gonna be it. Now some oofs. Now that I think about it. What you doing, Popo? What's up, Zooks? Used to be a little boy. Oh my god, look at you. Even you look tired and bored. Give me like these lazy eyes. They're just like some hardcore lazy eyes from the struggle. What a ridiculous little thing. What's up, pup? What's up, boy? I'll give him a little treat. You've been a little good boy today. Oh, bud. You gotta come closer. Come on. Up, up, up. Up, buddy. Oh. Why do you do that? Ooh, that didn't feel good. You and your damn gut punches, dog. But jeez, why do you do that? You don't have to be gut punching me, you know that, right? I mean, seriously? Quit gut punching me. Oh, yeah. What it is, me a little nutball. I'm not surprised he's using damn grinder. And I'm not gonna stop him either. Like he wants me to be like me trying to stop him using damn grinder. It's like no. Hey, what are you doing? Hey.
He's getting into shit.
Yeah, he is. Hey. What the hell?
Well, they should have never left their bike here.
What?
Oh, my buddy. It's been 2 years since he asked me about his bike. Now I'm robbing parts off of it.
Oh wait, so you had wait, so one of those bikes is technically your buddy's and it just never like said anything about it?
Yeah, pretty much. Now I'm robbing parts off of it.
Well, at that point, might as well be yours now.
Pretty much. I don't know why people expect to just leave stuff with me and that I don't tinker or fuck with it.
Well, yeah, I mean there is like a level of, you know, like sense of like, yeah, don't fuck my shit if I'm letting it stay there for a while.
You You've left Dewey for 2 years, bro. You obviously don't care about it.
Like, but when it gets to a point where it's like 2 fucking years, like, obviously the dude either forgot about it or didn't give a shit about it.
Pretty much.
Like, I mean, it's one thing if it's like, hey, can I leave this, you know, for you for a little bit? You know, I need some space, you know, to clear up, blah, blah, blah. And then he comes back, like, a month or 2 later, it's like, hey, I'm gonna come pick my bag back up, blah, blah. Like, that would be one thing, but, and then he finds out,
I'm about to sell fucking, Spaz's bike.
I mean, you're not even really, like, friends with him that much anymore anyway.
Dude, so. Honestly, like, we don't even talk anymore.
I don't even really see him around the neighborhood anymore anyway, so...
No, he lives in, like, southeast now.
Way out southeast?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that will explain it then.
And I'm just like... it's not that I, like, no, we're still on, like, good terms. It's just... He just doesn't ever fucking hit me up or talk to me.
Well, I know, like, you know, y'all had, like, you know, like, not, I guess not recent, but, you know, like, past issues and shit.
We've had past beef, but we squashed beef.
Which in a sense, I guess, maybe in a way, it's not absolutely totally quashed, because evidently it doesn't really hit him up too much anymore. Probably just because they, moved on, you know, from the sounds of it. Spaz has always been a very quirky, interesting character. I mean, hence his nickname Spaz. Oops. But honestly, there's even one time where, like, him and I had a, like, fucking, like, beef over stupid fucking shit. I wasn't even the one who started it either. He was trying to start it with me for some reason. It was literally over a game of pool because apparently his, like, he was going by like, hey, what, did you back off? Like, he was, like, going by, like, professional, like, tournament rules and shit when we were all just playing casually. And he was, you know, trying to infer, like, that's, you know, how we were playing the entire time, despite obviously not. And, like, when I was, trying to get the 8-ball or whatever the fuck, he basically wanted to insinuate that, like, I lost, you know, right off the bat because I didn't, like, you know, call the correct pocket because it didn't go in there or some shit. It's like you have to, like, somehow absolutely fucking know that, you know, where it's gonna hit or some shit. It's like, it's a casual game. It's not like, you know, some hardcore, like, professional, like, you know, math tournament shit or whatever the fuck. He literally wanted to, like, you know, be like, you want to fight about it or whatever? It's like, dude, like, you can't be fucking serious. It's a goddamn pool game. And it just straight up told him, it's like, dude, pipe the fuck down. I'm like, good lord. Are you gonna close yourself up in the laundry room again? Setting up so that door could close. I think he is. Just wants to hide himself in that little laundry room. Wow. What? Just a silly little thing. He did. He fucking did. He just closed the door. Zukov, you fucking ridiculous goof. Wow. What a weirdo, bro. You did that to yourself. Oh my god. Now he's all upset. He's like, what the fuck? You just straight up did that to yourself, my guy. I mean, really? Really, pup? What a ridiculous ball. What a silly dog. I think this dog straight likes to lock himself in that laundry room. Well, I guess not lock himself, but like close the door on himself in there. Is he just straight up like set it up so he can close that door? And now he's in there, just chilling. What a fruit. What a fucking fruit. Let's see what's going on for the 2 down. Oh shit. Some different things about the Proud Boys getting fucking, actually convicted of. Sweet. It's kind of nice to know that those same motherfuckers that came, into Portland throughout the entire 2020 protests are basically getting utterly, like, their total comeuppance. Fuck yeah. Pretty much like all the media portrayed them as like, oh, they're trying to stop terrorists from destroying and burning the city down, and this and that. And all this weird bullshit, just like defending them. But, not so much anymore. And I love it. It's great. Let's see if I can check out more stuff now. Not important stuff, but it had something on that. Where'd it go? Where did it go now? Here it is. The jury convicts Enrique Tarrio. The Proud Boys on seditious conspiracy charges. So many people are liking it too. I love it. It's a fucking video, really? It's a video from NPR, seriously. Oh wait, it comes with an article, cool. Former chairman of the Proud Boys, Enrique Tarrio, and 3 other members of the far-right group have been found guilty of seditious conspiracy by a federal jury.
This is what I see. I see these. I see these more than I see those big fat ape hangers.
It's not even really like cruiser bars. This is just like regular handlebars.
Yeah, I know. Right. When I first built that, I was like, let's in your face build something crazy as fuck. Now I'm kind of like dialing it down. I'm like, this. I've ridden this bike like long distance with those ape hangers on there. Those fucking ape hangers start to hurt your fucking arms after a while.
Well, yeah, because they're lifting your arms consistently.
I feel like this is the one part that me and Tyler are not going to agree on.
Why? Like, how do you even know if he wants it or not if you haven't even bothered asking him about it?
I just know. Because I would go with the ape hangers. Because fuck everyone.
Well, just fucking ask him. My lord. It's like, what handlebars do you want on it? I mean,
it gets what it gets.
That's not exactly like gaining customer satisfaction.
I don't give a fuck about customer satisfaction. He should be lucky that I'm even putting.
Wow, what a great friend you are. Just be like, oh, you should be lucky that a friend is helping him out. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, he should just be lucky I'm rebuilding this thing for him.
My lord.
Actually, I got tired of seeing it in his backyard.
Because he wasn't really using it?
I still don't think he's gonna use it. I'm probably gonna do all this cool ass work, and it's probably gonna sit in his fucking yard.
Go with his other recumbents predominantly. Which also isn't that, like, busted up anyway?
What? Which one?
His other recumbent?
No.
I thought it was. Like, cause he got in that, like, fucking wreck. But, maybe he got repaired out. No. I never fucking know.
Huh?
But I thought he, when he got in that accident, that it got fucking, like...
Yeah, no, he got a new one.
Oh, he got a new one? Oh, okay. Well, he never says anything about this shit. He never updates anybody on this stuff.
Huh?
He never updates anyone on his shit.
Like, I might end up with his old busted up frame.
Why? Why would...
Because he can't get rid of it.
What, you can't just take it to, like, you know, some scrapyard or something?
You could, but I want to get the parts off of it.
Well, then do that first.
Because I told his mom and him, but his mom's like, oh, they don't, you can't resell the parts. They don't sell used parts. I'm like, bullshit. Like, that
Dude, people sell used parts all the time. What the heck?
The company that he bought it from doesn't. But I'm like, you could always
put
it up for sale.
Yeah, like, the company directly probably doesn't, but, you know, people still resell things used. So, like,
I was like, dude, you
could
get a pretty penny for that fucking electric engine.
I mean, considering, especially being in Portland, oh, yeah. Dude, somebody will, like, jerry-rig up that little engine onto their bike or something, easy. Especially considering there's a lot of, like, DIY type of people around here and shit. Dude, yeah. It should be easy to be able to get rid of something like that, honestly.
Tyler's crazy ass wants me to put the engine on that thing, and I told him no.
No, yeah. Even I would say that's not a good idea.
I'm just like, do you want to die?
So you want, like, yeah, I thought you were all about safety there, Metal T. Jeez, now you want to, like, have adrenaline rushes and, like, fucking have near-death experience? Okay.
His mom, the reason he isn't writing this is because of his mom.
Being weirdly overprotective, dude, she needs to really just, like,
she's the one that's been harping me and harping me and harping me. And I told them both how to put brakes on it.
Because it shouldn't, like, it really ain't that difficult to put brakes on something like that.
No! You see me do it, I did it in, like, literally a couple seconds.
Yeah, I was literally seeing you earlier doing it. Man, some people, dude. They see, like, one thing, they're like, oh my god, can't solve this issue, and then you got this fucker over here being like, alright, here's how I can fix the issue. Albeit in a very rednecky, jerry-rigged DIY sense, but still does it.
What? What are you calling jerry-rigged, bitch?
I'm saying that, like, you know, like, they're not really looking at these issues and, like, here's how you can easily solve them, and you're just over there solving them.
Yeah, I told them, all you need is a flat piece of nut, like, round stock, to put, just like this one.
Yeah.
Put one lower, put a brake system in it, and then dial the brake system into the fucking wheel. This literally took me a couple fucking minutes to make.
Yeah, it looks pretty simple. Simple as.
I'm not running a fucking cable to a fucking handbrake. That's gonna be a fucking... I'm gonna call the workings of the,
Rip City.
He's
more better, and yeah.
He's better at fucking making brakes than I am. I don't have the patience.
Obviously, because at a certain point, you just say fucking and take a grinder to things just out of sheer frustration, because...
No, because I hate how brake cables, like, after each so many times, they start fraying at the end of it. They start coming apart, and I just fucking get pissed.
Well, yeah, because that's meant to be, like, the extra protective, like, layering of the cable, and, yeah, I mean, it's the outside layer of it, so, at times, it eventually kind of frays off.
Anyone who's ever, like, had to, like, fix brakes on bikes knows what I was feeling like.
Get my legs back stretched out.
Or it's just me.
Might just be you. I mean...
I heard that, bitch!
No, you didn't. Then what'd I say? Exactly. Exactly. Can't say what I said. Because you didn't hear that shit. You didn't know what I said. Ugh. Man, having this one day off, like, you know, work week is, I can already tell, just brutal. Oof. I might just honestly, like, you know, maybe even show up just even a tad late, you know, for, to work tomorrow. Just be like, yeah, instead of 3, showing up at, like, 4. I mean, considering it's a 6-day work week, I'll easily be able to make it up. Honestly, it's better I don't do that, just to make sure I can save up for the trips I'm having later. Fucking hell. Oh shit. Thanks from the services. Having a little chit chat with Dimpool. Nice. At least, like, I could grant Dimpool for at least, you know, putting some lefties on there. The challenge is stupid shit. Or at least, you know, he does it as an attempt to try to, you know, make him look stupid, but usually, not always, you know, that ends up being the case where it's the opposite. Considering Lance, I'm sure he's not doing a bad job. Dude, do I give Timple a view and go to his stream, or just go to Mike for the even support reacting to it? Let's, you know what, actually, let's go find the Temple one. I'm pretty sure that's on it. Yeah, here it is. Actually, I already talked about some interesting stuff. Oh my god, there's 32 fucking K people watching that right now? Jesus Christ. Why does Temple have that fucking amount of audience? Like, what do you get to deserve that? Oh, I love the left and I'm still a liberal, but very fucking conservative. Like, what? Is that it? One, those fucking dorks. God, someone needs to, like... I know Lance probably wouldn't be thinking about it, but god damn it, I want him to take that fucking beanie off his head. I want fucking TJ, you know, the Amazing Atheist to do it. At some point, they were supposed to talk, but that kind of fell out. So, hopefully that goes back in. And ends up actually happening. Because, oh my god, the idea of TJ just being the same Rift Temple, then just like stands up, and at some point just rips that fucking beanie off his head, just so we can see what's under that damn hat of his. Like, even in his fucking even in his thumbnail, dude. Like, he's got that beanie, like, grafted on his head, bro. Like, he's making sure no one sees what's going on. He's making sure no one sees the travesty that is underneath. It could just be another mouth. It could just be like an android, like, brain, like, cyborg dome thing, you know, that, you know, where it shows he's actually like a robot. It could be like a little alien in there. Like he's, you know, that, like, you know, from, like, Men in Black or something, dude. I mean, and that's what I mean, dude. Like, we gotta get that beanie off his fucking head and see what the hell's going on. I want to know what's going on underneath that damn hat there, buddy. Here.
Can't vote for Joe Biden. You
can't vote Joe Biden. Wait, did he change his background up a little bit? Oh my god. Dude, his backgrounds will never not be dorky. He's got a goddamn, like, Katashi sword and a fucking flintlock pistol, like, cross-sworded in the background. I think there's, like, another sword next to a fucking guitar, which, at least the guitar is kind of cool. But, like, everything, like, really, oh my god.
I think you're surrounded. We talk about this quite a bit.
Sure.
If All Sides has nearly 4,000 people rating me.
Oh my god. Wait, rating you? Is he talk about some raids and shit here? I actually want to skip back a little bit. Wait, who are these other dudes? Right, there's Lance. So yeah, this is definitely where he's talking from. Wait, who's this guy? Alright, okay, there's Lance. That's okay, that was kind of a funny frame.
Sweden, right?
I actually didn't type that in. I searched for, by the way, decently high murder rate was a very clumsy.
Who's this guy? Like, who are these other dudes? And there's, like, some other dude that kind of looked like a hippie almost. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, wait. Damn it. Can I get to that dude? Yeah. Where was he? He was somewhere in here. Okay, well, it's that guy. Yeah, that dude. Who's the hippie-looking guy? Okay, he was kind of talking there a little bit. Yeah, come on. Is he like a producer or something? Oh, here we go. There's like a full thing here. Yeah, yeah, there he is. It's in like this center right there, you know, below Tim. Who the fuck is that? Who are these other nerds?
Already said abortion of viable fetuses at 9 months.
This is ridiculous.
Do you know what viable means?
Yes.
It means the baby can survive on its own without medical complications.
Absolutely.
And why?
Oh my god. Oh no, I know what they're talking about. Oh fuck me. You can't be serious. Oh yeah, I'm still like a live fucking temple being like, oh, you know, abortion is bad because viable, you know, fetuses, you know, die or something. It's like, are we? You can't be serious. Oh no.
Abortion of viable fetuses at 9 months when the baby could just be
women
delivered.
are not getting abortions at the 9th month for pleasure or because they want to suddenly do it for kicks. That doesn't happen.
Okay, I'm assuming Temple actually said that. Like, I mean, if Vance actually saying that specifically. Wait, so Temple thinks that women are just like, I want to get an abortion for, you know, for the fuck of it. I like, you know, when they're pretty much like ready to like, you know, come to term or some shit. Like, I mean, huh? That almost like never happens. Like, the only time abortions ever really happen in those circumstances are very exceptional, like, medical circumstances, where the fetus or the mother's viability is, well, not viable. So, you know, or, you know, both is not viable in a sense, because those type of emergencies or, like, you know, exceptional circumstances do happen. You know, so it's just like that's when it, as far as I'm aware, only ever does happen. Like, I don't really think it ever really happens, you know, where it's just like, you know, due to elective reasonings, you know, at the 8 to 9 month period.
It's a tragedy of the highest, because there are medical operations that could kill the mother and they need to get an abortion.
Why legalize?
I just told you that's the reason why.
So all right, I'll try and break it down for you. Can the baby survive? Let's talk about a baby. The baby.
You don't know what a baby is, you fucking moron.
Survive on its own, yes?
Sure.
Okay. Abortion is defined by Planned Parenthood and the law as terminating the life.
Okay. I like how you interweaves that. Planned Parenthood, a nonprofit organization, and then the law, which that varies state to state, by the way.
Of the baby.
Correct.
Why terminate the life of the baby if it can survive on its own?
Because it could kill.
Wait. Did he just say that like a baby can survive? No, they can't. What? Did he just say that? No. What are you? Is he actually retarded? Like, no. No. What? No. Yeah, I would like to see like a fucking like, you know, baby that's just like a toddler or some shit just hanging out in the middle of the woods to see how long, you know, that little guy survives. Yeah, like, cause little Timmy out there is gonna, you know, be a nice little rugged survivalist, you know, at the end of that. Like, what?
That's why it is done at that stage.
So how do you
kill one or the other, and they have to make the tough decision at that point.
So how do you remove the fully formed 9-month baby at that point?
Oh, I don't know the science of it. I've never performed that operation.
So
before.
I mean, also, like, okay, I mean, it's like Temple's not asking. It's like, well, if you know, like if abortion is an option, then why not other options? Like, well, maybe they have been considered, but you know, still pose very strong risks. Like, I mean, there are various different, you know, means to at least, you know, mitigate, you know, these emergencies or these complications. You know, usually very that you know, are a result due to things like C-sections. So, like, you know, those are usually the best alternative. But every now and then, sometimes that still can be a risk, and sometimes it's, you know, not one that doctors are comfortable taking.
Then B, if the baby must be removed and it is alive and capable of survival, all actions must be taken to preserve the life of the child and the mother?
I would say they'd probably choose the mother first, right?
Why?
And this is such a strange scenario.
Because that person already exists and has a life. That's why. You're talking about somebody who is an adult human, you know, like, person, and they're fucking, like, have various different, you know, things going on with that life and shit, and have a like essentially a prolonged investment in said life. So that's probably why, you know, the fact that you have, you know, another life that has not lived whatsoever, you know, or even begun to, you know, live a life yet, you know, like, there's a kind of a value, like, or, you know, like, scale here. Like 30, you know, like someone who's like an adult versus, you know, someone who hasn't even been born yet.
do you think that this happens? And all of a sudden they're like, the baby could have lived. You could have done it. Why did you choose the other option? It's like, this is a tragedy of the highest order because they want to have the kid. At 9 months pregnant, a woman is on her way to give birth. So it's like, it's the worst possible fucking thing that can happen to her.
That's not always, again, I said I didn't want to dogpile, but that's statistically not true. There have been surveys done on women who had later abortions, and for a pretty
like how you're not going to say anything specific about that, just going to blur out. It's like, statistically there are women who have abortions later terms. Like, okay, sure, but I'm going to say numbers about that, or you're just going to blurt out something randomly and not actually back it up? Oh, you're not going to back it up. Okay, I see.
Some of them, it's
because sure, yeah, like statistically, yeah, like, you know, there are women out there that, you know, get abortions, you know, later through their pregnancies and shit, but it's not like 8 months, you know, and shit. He's leaving that shit out very conveniently.
They were not sure whether the father of the child was willing to commit, and then when they found out he wasn't willing to commit, they would have the abortion. And so there are different stats you're going to find for different points in pregnancy. When it comes all the way along to 9 months, I don't have the statistical...
Wait a minute. Why is that a bad thing? Oh, okay, buddy. I don't even know who the fuck you are, weird looking dirty boy, but, like, if you have, like, a relationship where, you know, the father, you know, is, in this case, you know, not willing to commit, you know, for whatever reason, because, like, there's a falling out of some sort, I'd assume, you know, for this hypothetical, wouldn't that mean that it's a good thing for potentially, like, the woman in that case to be like, well, you know, so far for having a family with that person, you know, and go with abortion and basically try again with somebody else who's, you know, likely to be more committed? You know, like, I mean, yeah, like, it sucks and it's some shitty, you know, situation, and obviously a shitty experience, but what would be a better outcomes? Like, you know, struggling more with trying to raise a child on top of, like, you know, being single, or just, like, trying again to settle down with somebody else and have, you know, a kid with that person? Like, yeah. I mean, I feel like, you know, maybe just trying again from the get-go, you know, is probably way better than just, you know, like, figuring it out from there.
On that, however, I do know for later term abortions, there are reasons other than what is traditionally considered to be a medically necessary reason. For example, some people will say that a negative mental health outcome is a reason to abort a child later in pregnancy. So if the woman is depressed, they will list that as a reason for why the child had to be terminated.
Also, you probably want, like, you know, some sort of support beam, you know, to kind of go, like, you know, like, kind of a horizontal. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't know how.
Of the mother, which is certainly not the case, very obviously. And to the point of what Tim is saying, when we say there's no such thing as a medically necessary abortion,
there literally is. Oh my god. Well, guess what? Facts don't care about your feelings, you pussy. We don't believe in this thing called science.
That is, if there is an operation which is necessary to save the life of the mother, and then she miscarries the child as a result of that operation, which was necessary to save her life, that's not an abortion because nobody's intent was...
Hey, buddy, miscarriages and a medically induced abortion are very two different fucking things. Like, having, like, a, you know, procedure done where it doesn't have much to do with the child, but, you know, side effect of that is, you know, is a miscarriage, then that's a miscarriage. That's not a medically induced abortion. Like, that's a separate thing, you dingbat. Are you, like, what? Oh my god, okay, my brain cells are dying. Lance, say something, please.
And the life of the unborn child. And so if a woman's having complications where she has to deliver early, you deliver the child early, of course. And if you're at a point in pregnancy where the child isn't viable, that's a horrible tragedy. You still do what you can to save the child, but you can't always save the child, and we understand that. But to go in and rip the child apart to end their life is never something which is medically required, even though an early delivery may be.
But are there situations where...
I love that fucking framing of it. Rip the child apart. Like, that's not exactly how it happens. And also, like, if you look at any, like, surgery procedure, like, videos or photos or things like that, yeah, it's all gonna look kind of morbid and gross and gory and shit, because guess what, they're surgeries. Like, you know, especially invasive ones, like, you're gonna be, you know, seeing, like, you know, blood, insides, and different fluids and shit like that. Like, I mean, that it's kind of morbid. Like, no matter what, you know, type of thing it is. Even if it's, like, a basic-ass, like, you know, surgery of, like, oh, we need to, like, you know, fix something in the hand or some shit, you know, like, you know, you would think, it doesn't look that bad. Nah, it looks kind of freaky. And who is this dude?
the baby is in, this is so harsh, in its
so harsh.
complete form, that even trying to induce early pregnancy could kill the mother, so they have to break the baby's body apart so that they can get it out without killing the mother.
I've never heard of such a thing.
So-
and there
Probably because he made it up. I mean, that just sounds fucking like made up. What? It's like, huh?
letters, by the way, signed by literally thousands of doctors who have said this.
let me ask. Let me ask.
Wait, can I just say one thing? So 88% of abortions are in the first 12 weeks. 88.
Yeah.
88% of abortions. Less than 1.3% of abortions take place near the 8th or 9th month.
How many
Is
abortions
that good, Mocker?
Wait, how many is that?
I don't know the actual numbers. This is the percentages.
13,000.
Okay, but we're talking about less than 1.3%.
Hold on, 13,000. That's the number of people who die from gun violence in the U.S. each year that aren't suicides.
Gentlemen,
so that's
I am not here
13,000.
to...
Oh my god, who's that? Like, what? Dude, what is with these fucking conservatives trying to, like, oh, you libs try to say there's a lot of people die from gun violence, but what about these abortion rates? Like, dude, what the fuck is with this weird shit that they do, man? It is fucking annoying as shit. Like, dude, really? Because guess what? Like, gun violence is a totally separate, like, it's not even equivocal whatsoever. It's like, oh, there's like statistical data for two different things, thus they relate. It's like, yeah, guess what? There's percentages and numbers, you know, that happen to maybe like be similar in numbers or whatever the fuck. That doesn't mean they somehow relate to each other. Like, just because there's like 13,000, deaths from gun violence and shit, does not mean that somehow correlates to like 13,000 like abortions from the 8th to 9th month period every year or some shit. If that's even the claim. And that's just, from what Tim Pool said. Like, so I don't even know if that number is even accurate.
By abortion when it happens, as in it's a good thing.
No.
I don't celebrate
Brother, you're saying it doesn't happen.
No.
You're saying
I
it doesn't
never
happen.
said
It
it doesn't
happens
happen.
13,000 times.
I said it's extremely. There is 338 million Americans. I'm sorry. The numbers are going to be a little daunting. Yes, the numbers will be high. I'm not here to celebrate that.
I don't understand your argument then.
My argument is that there's
If
a lot of human
13,000
beings.
people die from guns, we have a problem, right?
If 13.
Oh my fucking god, it's like, well, like doing it again, it's like, oh, well, if like, there's a lot of deaths, from this, right? And there's a problem with that, right? So that's what we're saying, when it comes to abortion. It's like, oh my god, this is starting to
People die from guns are a problem. Yes, of
If
course.
13,000 late-term abortions happen, is that a problem?
These are completely
No.
different things.
Well, how so?
Okay, so if someone dies by gun.
I'm about to have an aneurysm.
Shot? Were they killed? Did they kill themselves? Was it a suicide? Was it a
That's a
gang
good-
violence thing?
that's-
Who knows?
that's a good question.
Can I clarify? I don't wanna argue, I just
Hold
wanna
on.
clarify.
I need to answer this.
Well,
In the case
can
of
I
late,
address
yeah,
what you
but
just said?
yes, but in the case of late-term abortions, more often than not, when statistics say, and when they are polled, they say the reason that they are giving it is because it's a medical complication that could result in the death of the mother or the child.
Right. So let's. Can we make the argument then that the use of guns on people are allowed?
What? What? No! Oh my god, I hate this so much. This weird fucking analogous bullshit of like, of guns to abortion. What fucking makes them think this is like some sort of a gotcha? This is just like some retarded shit. Like, I mean, this is just some brain dead bullshit. Like, I mean, oh my god, I feel bad for Lance, unfortunately, having to entertain this. Because, oh my god, I'd be just like slapping that goddamn beanie off his head over this.
Use of guns of people are
To end their lives is allowed.
so
you
that's
make that
murder. You're describing murder.
So if Colorado, for instance, passes a law saying there is no medical requirement for an abortion, is it wrong to kill the baby?
You're trying to compare murdering someone with a gun to a woman having to make a medical decision that could basically preserve her life.
No. I said
or death.
not a medical reason. That's what I'm saying.
Should she have the ability to have an abortion for any reason? Yes.
At 9 months.
At 9 months, I would say at 9 months, because it only happens, according to the stats, based on complete medical necessity. She has a right to do it.
No.
She should have a right.
Hold on.
Oh my god, I love how they're just like, not the answer I wanted. No. It's like, hey, guess what? At the end of the day, the answer is still there. She has the right to do it.
Hold on. Colorado legalized abortion up to 9 months with no medical reason required. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that decision. Yes.
So the baby could survive on its own, and the mother is legally now allowed to just end its life.
She has the right if she wanted to.
The life never even started yet. I hate this, element of it too. Where it's like, oh, well, it's like this literal living entity that is like somehow utterly independent, when it's in a fucking womb. And has to be dependent on, mother to develop. Like, I mean, like, how, like, it's not like some separate life of a career here. Like, I mean, it's just like the weird, utter fucking sanctity and like, goddamn near fetishistic, like, moral preservationist idea of like, protecting the sanctity of unborn life. But, at the same time, not giving fuck one about, those same type of people when they're alive, when it comes to their own bodily decisions and when it comes to their own choices in life as adults. Like, suddenly, their lives don't fucking matter and the sanctity of life don't matter then, but when they're not born, suddenly it matters like every way till fucking Sunday, and you have to like, use every dishonest fucking, tactic in the book to try to justify it. Like, it's just so fucking gross. Ugh. Man, this shit's so annoying to me.
And so in Colorado, and
It's not a trick question.
I know.
It literally is a trick question.
But I'm asking you because you're the one who brought this up. I don't know what Colorado's specific law says. So if you were saying that in Colorado, women have the ability at 9 months to have an abortion for any reason, they could just decide that the board.
Yeah.
Okay, I think they should have the right to do that, but the stats show that they're not doing that. But they should have a legal right to do that. Yes, it's their body, it's their choice, of course.
So this is what I disagree on. I think if the baby needs to be...
I disagree with the idea that women have bodily autonomy and choice. So yeah, I'm a fucking dipshit.
moved from the woman, there's no reason to kill it. You know what I mean? Like, you could just C-section and then put it up for adoption.
But I'm telling you, that doesn't happen.
But it does. But hold on. Like,
you might be able to bring up anecdotes, but the stats don't say that.
Hold on. Like, why allow it to happen? I just don't understand. Are you arguing? Wait, hold on. Are you arguing you oppose it? And you think it's morally wrong, but you think it should be legal?
I think that women should have the right to decide what.
Oh my God, Temple, you fucking literal thick brain brick wall fucking dipshit. Like, he's already said it. It's their body, it's their choice. Like, it's their autonomy and to decide what they want to do with their body. Like, that's what he's saying, you fucking ignoramus. Like, holy shit. Like, what, you think it's bad and not good, but you want it to be legal? Or? It's like, no one said anything about it being, like, morally wrong or bad or anything. You're the one inferring that, dim bull. You fucking dumb light bulb fucking moronic shut.
And have bodily autonomy over their own bodies.
We're not talking about her body. We're talking about...
It is her body.
We're talking about...
Oh my fuck God, I'm just starting to realize Deep Fat Fresh should do a goddamn Tim Pool gauntlet, because, oh my God, this guy's fucking insufferable. I'm really forgetting how insufferable this son of a bitch is. What the hell? Goddamn speaker. You know what? Speaker's doing me a favor. It's doing me a favor by not having to listen to this son of a bitch. Oh my God. Though I will admit, though, Lance is honestly doing a really good job keeping his keeping his head cool and collected, and not letting them try to like do gotchas, dishonest like fucking like straw mans at him and shit. Like he's doing a really good job at like holding his own though. And that's like the reason why Tim Pool will occasionally try to get Lefty on like Lance and shit, mainly because the whole idea is that they do this type of shit that they're doing right now, towards Vance, as a way to kind of like fluster them and get them all emotional. Be like, see, you're just an emotional lib. Blah, blah, blah. See, us, the rational, logic-minded ones. Nah. Like, I mean, and then if you actually go against that whole idea, and then they actually have to kind of like back their shit up and have their shit challenged, then they start looking all emotional, all flustered. It was like, well, hold on. Suddenly they look like a bunch of emotional little babies.
Forceful.
So she chooses to have that.
The woman says the baby must be removed from my body. Why kill the baby if they're removing it?
I don't think they should do that. I would if they ask me, Lance, should I do this? I would say no, but she should have a right. Yes, of course. It's her body still. That doesn't stop.
So, like, the woman is pregnant, the baby is viable and capable of surviving on its own.
Sure.
And she says before it breaches...
No baby is able to survive on its goddamn own. Like, are you talking about, like, because if he's saying that, like, what does he mean? Like, being able to be outside of the womb? Because guess what? The baby still can't survive on its own. Yeah, like, I mean, why do you think parents exist? Like, because they're vulnerable and dependent and can't survive on their own, their babies. Like, what is this weird idea in inference that, like, oh, you know, a baby can survive on its own? Like, no, they can't. They're a fucking baby. Like, oh my god. It's really annoying.
You think that should be allowed?
This is again the baby guillotines. This is why I brought that up. But what a weird scenario. This doesn't happen. This is not the real world.
But it does. And if the argument is that it doesn't happen enough for you to care, that's fine. You're allowed to believe that.
Sure.
What I don't understand is it seems like your position is a rather shocked position where you recognize there is something inherently wrong with taking the life of a baby that can survive on its own, but you're also taking the tribal position of women should be allowed to do it anyway.
No. If you were to ask me, Tim, hey, Lance, do you think it's a good idea if this woman who's 9 months pregnant, suddenly she got bored with the pregnancy, she doesn't want to have it anymore, but the baby's viable? Do you think that's a good thing to do? I would be like, no, of course not.
Then why should it be allowed?
Because it's still her right. It's still her body.
But
bodily autonomy doesn't stop at my morality. Tim, it's not my choice. Right? It's not my... Yes, but that's not my choice.
Why kill it? Why kill it?
That's her choice, not mine.
Why kill the baby?
Ask her. Ask her.
Okay. So...
Damn, true, Vance. I mean, honestly, like, yeah, Tim, why asking him? Ask a woman who did that. Honestly, like, I mean, Tim, if you want this answer so badly, ask a woman who got an abortion in like 8 months or something. I mean, honestly, like, I mean, who did it electively and did it on her own gumption and decided to do that. Like, if you really want to get a fucking answer out of it, ask, you know, a woman like that if you could find one. Probably won't. But if you're so adamant about having a fucking answer for this shit, ask, you know, one of them. You know, not Lance. Like, oh my god, because he just said it. It's like, ask her. Like, I mean, like her bodily autonomy. You know, like my morality stops at like their bodily autonomy. Like, whatever my morality happens to be on the issue doesn't fucking matter.
My point is simply this: you don't need to be shocked by it. You're allowed to have that moral position. I think most people in America would prescribe that to be, would ascribe evil to that.
Sure, but that's...
No, oh my god. Fuck off your good versus evil bullshit.
Yeah, you can ascribe evil to whatever you want. That's up to you. That's your choice.
The idea that you would say...
doesn't mean that she should
the woman
be
wants the baby removed, and then in the process, instead of letting the baby live, remove it but kill it. Right? There's no reason to do that. You can give the baby up for adoption. You can drop the baby off on the doorstep of a post office.
I agree with you.
Why would you do that? Why? Oh, put your baby up for adoption or abandon it in front of a post office, you know? It's like, or, you know, just let it, like, you know, hang out in front of a restaurant or something. Or, you know, hang it out, you know, on someone's front porch, you know? Like, you could do something else. It's like, what the fuck, bro? Like, yeah, just like abandon the newborn kid somewhere and hope someone else takes care of it, you know, because that's a better outcome and solution. I mean, the adoption thing, like, it's understandable, but the thing is, like, you know, like, maybe, again, that was considered as a choice, but, you know, they decided otherwise, you know, they're like, nah, I don't want to do that, you know, or, you know, I don't want to go for that, you know, particular process, you know, or whatever the fuck, because, again, it was their decision.
I'm not
so why legalize? Even if it's one. Why legalize? You see, this is the craziest thing.
Because her autonomy should not...
Oh, Tim, you really want to do that? Because if we're going to do this whole, like, you know, doing the whole gun thing, you know, by abortion, let's do this with trans people then, right? Because I think it was, what, Kentucky that literally did an anti-trans legislation for one high school kid who happened to get, like, 3rd place in track and field or some shit who was trans. And the one kid in the entire fucking, like, goddamn state being trans and shit, at least openly, you know, basically has legislation proposed and passed and put through into law because of one person. Like, even if it's just one, like, no. Like, yeah, even if it's just one, then, like, you know, to, like, prevent that or something. Just because it might hurt your fucking fifis or, you know, just might go against their morality. It's like, fuck off.
Cut off based on your morality because you don't think that idea is good. You don't like it.
But the baby's been removed from her body.
Well, that's if it was removed from her body and it was still viable, right? And that's where the baby guillotines come in, because I don't think this happens. I don't think women on the 9th month get abortions with viable living children and then be like, I don't want it, kill it. I don't think that happens.
I mean, you don't have to think it happens, but statistically it does, because your entire argument...
Then name them.
this only happens for reasons of the health of the mother or the health of the
No,
unborn
no,
child.
I said.
So you
I
believe it only
said the
happens 'cause it's
statistics show that at the 9th month, if a woman is going to have an abortion, it's typically because it's a medical complication that can either endanger her or the child's life.
And what I am
Well,
saying
let
is
me-
there
let
are
me-
doctors who will justify that by saying the medical complication is she is depressed. That is literally one of the
Sure,
reasons
sure.
given in
That-
surveys of women. And
Like, how is it? Are you sure it might not just be a symptom potentially of the overall issue? Maybe not like an actual fucking, like just main reason? Because I'm skeptical that would be just like a reason that a doctor would give.
and that is
Yes,
given
yes,
in
yes,
the
yes, yes,
man
but-
who I was going to be with.
Okay, but Seamus, I gotta stop you because this is a nebulous argument that doesn't get anywhere, and I can respect the point that if you go to if you try and look this up, you're going to find left-wing sources and right-wing sources that will contradict each other. So my question is strictly on the legality of terminating the life of a child. I can sit here and pull up, oh, hey, here's one.
Oh my god, I love Tim pull both sides in this. It's like, I guess that other dork is Seamus or whatever the fuck. Oh my god, wow. What a way to represent the Irish there, laddie. Considering that Irish thing in the background where he's sitting.
Abort Down syndrome babies late term rather frequently. I think that's wrong. I don't think that someone's life is forfeit because they have Down syndrome. But your argument is that they do.
No, it's not. That's a strong.
No,
You damn, Lance. Damn, just wrecked right off the bat. It's like people like you, Lance, you think that people with Down syndrome should be. It's like, nah, that's wrong, man. No, I didn't say that. Just so casual about it too. I mean, there could be at least an argument potentially to be made that, like when it comes to major severe genetical factors, when it comes to like disabilities and shit, that for like a quality of life argument, that it's good to have like that part of like the genome kind of weeded out in a sense of like minimalizing very poor quality of life standards and shit when it comes to living Down syndrome. It's no fault to the person, obviously, and that doesn't mean we do like some eradication of that type of shit. Of course not. That would be insane. But like when it comes to early onset genetic research when it comes to like figuring out like genetic makeup of a child in early gestation and shit, like Iceland does this, where like within that 12-week period they're able to kind of figure out the like a specific genome to the child and be like, hey, this is what's going to be happening to the kid growing up and shit. And it does give more of a choice and ability for parents to make decisions based off of these different things. And and if anything, I would heavily encourage adopting like an Icelandic type of model when it comes to these type of things, because I mean they they don't have like really severe issues when it comes to like quality of life standards, at least when it comes to these different factors and shit, mainly because they have strong awareness about these type of things and try to look out for it as soon as possible, and to minimize a lot of these different negative effects that come with this whole stupid moral argument bullshit that comes into it.
Your argument is that women have a right to terminate a baby for any reason at any point.
Yes, they
Right.
should have the bodily autonomy to make that decision.
So what I'm
Yes.
saying is, in the circumstance of Down syndrome, I think it is wrong to terminate a baby's life at 9 months simply for having Down syndrome, but you would agree she is legally allowed to do so.
I think she should be legally allowed to do so. Whether or not I think that's a good idea is
Well,
irrelevant.
then there's the clarification. I think it should be illegal.
Okay.
I don't.
Well, you're authoritarian dipshit then.
So there are limits to how much bodily autonomy women should have.
So yes, right.
So that's okay. So that's your sense.
The pro-choice.
So it's like, yes, I think women should not have, certain bodily autonomy rights. Yep. I think, they should be treated as lesser citizens in comparison to people like me, men.
Because you're pro-abortion, right?
Sure.
Pro-choice traditionally in this country put limits at around like 15 to 16 weeks, meaning if the baby is dependent upon the body of the mother, then it is the body of the mother and she has final say. If the baby is viable, it can be removed in a process that ends the pregnancy but doesn't end the life of the baby. That's kind of like the compromise where the baby gets to live and the woman no longer has to be pregnant. There seems to be this amoral argument where, but it just killed the baby anyway, which doesn't make any logical sense. That's the pro-abortion side. So
No one is saying that, and that's not inherently the pro-abortion argument. Like, the whole pro-abortion argument is fundamentally about, like, equality of choice and, like, an opportunity of choice and shit when it comes to bodily autonomy. It's body autonomy choice. Because yeah, when it comes to like viability and shit, where you don't have to like do a full-on abortion and shit, and just do a C-section and no longer have to take care of the baby at that point, then sure, that's an option. But guess what? So is an abortion. So it's just like, it's about the whole autonomy of choice. Of what options do you want to do when it comes to your pregnancy shit. If you don't want to partake in that anymore. It's pretty self-explanatory.
To the 90s, if you go back to safe, legal, rare, etc., if you even look at Tulsi Gabbard in 2020, that's where I'm at. Conservatives are pro-life.
Oh my god, yeah, well, yeah, what a way to simp Tulsi Gabbard's name. Oh my god, you fucking Gabbard simp. Wow, like you're gonna be like, like going licking her fucking clit, seriously, really? Gonna be like that fucking overt, grifty, sad fuck? Oh my god, wow. Sad.
Right, shame.
I should not be surprised though.
Would argue abortion in any capacity should be banned entirely. I'm in the traditional Democrat.
I like how he's just kind of like, just, yeah, I would.
But you see, there is a tribal, amoral, illogical position of just let them kill the baby regardless. I don't see any logic there. I don't see how that makes sense morally or ethically or just mathematically.
Right, so you said I'm pro-abortion. What I'm against is forced birth, and I don't think the state should be forcing women to give birth against their will, which is what your position and your position is as well. So I'm against that. I think that's creepy big government shit. I don't think they should be forcing them and turning them into these viable wombs against their will.
I completely agree. I'm against
No, you're not. You are not, against forced birther, like birthing and shit. You are for those type of laws if you want to remove the bodily autonomy rights of women to have a choice to have an abortion, you fucking freak.
Just like you. Except my difference is that if the baby's at 8 months and can survive, they can take the baby out as if they would have an abortion, but not kill it in the process.
If it's viable at 8 months, is it viable?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is viable at 8 months, dude. There have been babies after 20 weeks.
Bro, your whole position is that women have a right to kill the baby even if they end the pregnancy, and there's no logic there.
The logic is that I don't think you agree with forced birth at a point.
How?
How? At 8 months? At 8 months, Tim Pool thinks forced.
How though? Like, oh my god, man, Lance is like, okay, little Timmy. Like, here's how it works. Oh my god, he has to basically act like an actual parent to these dudes.
It's fucking cool and poggy.
Stop making up stupid bullshit.
But
No, hold on.
That's what this is.
Bro.
100% forced.
Oh, you said like a little quirky meme thing once. Come on, be civil and be, decorumness. Oh my god, they're doing it right now, bro. They're like, oh, you're just being a weird little funny emotional lefty meme, bro. Like, oh my god, they're doing it, dude. Wow.
Because I already said I agree with you.
A
woman should be able to end her pregnancy whenever she wants. A woman could end her pregnancy whenever she wants. Say it. Tim Pool said a woman can end her pregnancy whenever she wants.
Yeah, I demand you say it giving birth.
Yeah, well, guess what, Tim? You never said it, so guess what? Lance is not going to say that.
Make up something fake. Tim Pool agrees with forced birth is a false statement. You're lying.
No, he's not. Oh my god. Oh, what? You're gonna sue him for slander? Are you gonna sue him for that there, buddy? What are you gonna do? Take him to court, you sad little pussy? Aw, are you offended? Is somebody triggered? Aw, is Tim Pool triggered? Aw, so cute. What a snowflake.
Already said, I believe that women have a right to terminate their...
You are lying. How dare you? It's like, oh my fucking god. It's like, shut up. You are like a forced birther, bro. Like, I mean, quit fucking denying it. Own up to your fucking position, you hack.
To a certain amount of time.
At 8 months is where you draw the line.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you just said that. If the baby is viable, that she shouldn't have the right to be able to terminate it.
To kill the baby.
Yes.
I said she can end the pregnancy.
Oh my god. Like, dude, guess what? Like, having an abortion is not killing babies. Like, holy fuck, bro.
Whatever she wants.
And ending the pregnancy can be giving birth or aborting the baby.
Or a C-section that keeps the baby alive.
She has to be forced to give birth against her will in a C-section, but the baby is viable and they give it
up. So how do they remove the baby?
So hold on, either way the baby comes out of her. You're saying that
so you literally want forced birth. You literally want to force women to give birth against their will.
So can I just interject here?
You're saying they should use the tools to rip apart the body and pull that out. Whereas I'm saying they should just take the baby
I'm saying
out.
she should have the right to decide what happened.
And I like how they just infer that when it comes to abortion, it's literally just like some sort of like, fucking like, like jackhammer or something, just like, taking the baby, just like, just fucking like, breaking it down and, ripping it up in chunks. It's like, oh my lord.
body.
That's not what's going
Okay,
on.
but so if, all right, either way the child is coming out, you're making this argument about forced birth. Either way, what is in her body is going to be outside of it. The question is it okay to shove forceps into the skull of the small person who's inside of her and then tear them apart limb by limb to get them?
Oh my god, again, like, they use this fear-mongery, weird fucking, like, vivid imagery shit. It's just like, what, like, why do you try to, like, what is this weird fascination of them trying to infer this type of shit? It's so fucking creepy. Like, why do they fascinate, you know, themselves with this type of shit? Like, what, do they, like, watch, like, you know, abortion video, like, you know, surgeries or some shit? Like, you know, on the internet, like, you know, like on some bodily autonomy, like, learning website or some shit? And, like, you know, look at these just, you know, to be like, oh my god, look how brutal and savage this shit is, you know, just like, go in extreme vivid detail, like a veteran talking about how he killed a man in Nam or some shit. It's like, my god.
Or should we say, no, that's not an acceptable way of delivering a baby, you shouldn't kill that unborn child? How is that for either way it comes out of her body? Either way the child comes out of her body. It's not as if there's one scenario where the pregnancy magically disappears and doesn't leave the body.
Let me add, forced birth is a nonsense politics statement.
But in your scenario, she's being forced to give birth against her will. Like, she can't
She's
decide.
already pregnant, dude.
I know, but
we're not talking about forcing her to do anything. She's pregnant.
But then
Hey, guess what? Like, like, maybe someone forced her to be pregnant because of, like, things like a rape, or, you know, or there's laws in the state that prohibit her to terminate the pregnancy, you know, early and shit, or whatever the fuck, because of things that you advocate for, Tim. Like, you know, maybe there's, you know, factors like that. You know, or, like, you know, she's in a fucking marriage or in a relationship where she has an abusive partner where she can't because of, like, different abuses of where, like, you know, if you go do that, then, you know, there's gonna be, like, you know, some sort of a punishment or some punitive action happening to her. Like, there's all sorts of variables that, you know, may, you know, be happening where it's like, you know, she's pregnant, no one forced her to do that, so no one's forcing her to give birth here, blah, 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 blah. It's just like, yeah, there is. Like, what the fuck? You fucking dim-headed motherfucker. You dense brick wall of a bitch.
I did.
Stick by it.
No, I reject the phrase. There's no such thing as forced birth. They're saying you can't kill that baby.
Let me
Yeah, there is a thing called forced birth, you freak.
saying this is
Because she has the baby inside her.
is so
Yes, she does.
fervent about legalizing the killing of a baby at 9 months that I can
Oh
see.
my fucking god, holy shit. This is really starting to piss me off with this bullshit, bro. Like, it's because fucking hell, they're just so adamant about being like, see, Vance agrees with murdering babies. Like, that's basically what they're trying to do. It's like, fucking hell, man.
I think women should be able to terminate their pregnancy whenever they want, but if the baby is viable, there's no reason to kill it.
She has to be forced to give it then. She has to be forced to give birth and then give the baby up, is what you're saying.
Give birth. Define.
Yes, okay, so that is forced birth.
Giving birth, define that, lib.
So
she can't decide to terminate it at
define
8 or 9 months.
Define give birth.
You just said at 8 months if the baby is viable.
I didn't say 8 months. Define give birth. I'm trying to understand what you're saying by forced birth. What does birth mean?
You just said when she's at
Can you
8 or
define
9
it?
months. Okay, so she's at 8 or 9.
I said viable.
Okay, so it's viable.
Ain't
The baby's
fall for
viable.
it.
She should have to.
He did not take that hook at all. He did not fall for the bait, dude. Damn. Lance is killing it, honestly, I will admit.
Give birth to it in some capacity. C-section, whatever.
Define birth, and I can answer your question.
Birth, the removal of a child into the world from a mother's womb.
So how do they do that?
The woman pushes the baby out.
So then what would you call an abortion at 8 months? Is
abortion.
Is the woman pushing the baby out?
What's an abortion at 8 months? An abortion, yeah. Like, what the fuck do you think is... Oh my god, this guy. Oh my god, dude. Man, I would be having some fucking serious whiplash, you know, if I was in the same room with him. Because, holy fuck, I'm feeling it now. Like, holy shit, dude. Like, man, like, fucking having to argue with motherfuckers like this gets goddamn tiring, man. Like, I mean, obviously, it's just like, I mean, it all just ends up being repetitive of the same type of fucking shit. And oh my fucking god, dude, holy shit. Look at all these super chats. And they're all fucking ridiculously huge numbers, bro. Oh my god. God damn, bro. You know what, here, actually, I want... I can do this, but, you know... where do you? Yeah, doing this real quick. Come on, I'm sharing this homeboy here. Because holy shit, this is just like oof. I'll actually go back into it here in a sec, but I gotta take at least a quick little break from that shit. Because, man, like, I forget how fucking insufferable that piece of shit is. Like, straight up. The dude really is, like, a fucking gauntlet in itself. Like, ooh. It's like Diaz motherfucking Mio, man. Diaz McMuckafucking Mio. Ugh. There's just definitely like a gumption about these type of dudes, you know, like that just are so fucking shameless. Because they just, you know, are so utterly fucking goddamn dishonest and disingenuous and will do anything to try to get a little gotcha so they can win points for their fucking audience. It's just so ridiculous, man. Oh, it's motherfucking insufferable. I want to read this goddamn chat, honestly. Is there a way that I can even read this fucking shit? Wow, I could see that their chat is obviously, you know, totally fucking, you know, not ridiculously far right at all. Definitely delusional. Gay soy groomer. This dude needs to be fully lobotomized. Oh my god. Oh yeah, totally, you know, like a, you know, like centrist, liberal, balanced type of shit. Oh my god, they're literally all are just calling this dude a groomer. Oh my fucking god. Social contagion. Oh yeah, you know, like Tim Pool definitely does not have a, you know, audience harbor full of fucking fascists. Definitely not at all. No, no, no. Like my lord, dude. Aye, fucking yai.
Included people who did not reapply for treatment. They counted that as someone who was desisting. That's just someone who didn't show up again. That's
literal desistance.
No, it's not.
That's literal desistance.
Not whatsoever, Tim. That is someone who has decided they just don't want to go talk to that doctor or experience things with that doctor. They could have gone off to a different doctor. They could have done something else. But that is not someone who has verifiably said, I was trans, I'm no longer trans.
Oh boy, now they're talking about trans rights issues. Here we go.
Just people who did not show up.
Your thing.
Okay, so go to transadvocate.com/
I'm not going to, I need a study or something, not an advocacy website.
Yeah, yo, I want like a study. I don't want like, you know, somewhere that actually will infirm these, you know, studies or anything. I just want like a separate study so I can cherry pick it. Come on now.
I pulled up a scientific study for you. I'm not pulling up a nonprofit
Good job.
advocacy
So
group.
this is an interview with the person who did the study in this article.
I have pulled up a scientific study for you.
And the person who did, and I'm challenging you with the person who did the fucking study. And
but you're telling me to pull up an advocacy website, which is not on par with a scientific study.
But it's featuring the person who did the scientific
study. Is there
a
counter study saying this is not correct?
Okay.
Is there a counter study saying that's not correct so I confirm my bias? Dude, wow. Dude, Tim is so brazen, bro. Like, oh my god, this motherfucker is brazen. He's just like, yo, is there a counter study so my biases could be affirmed, you know, against your study? Like, they don't even care about the actual studies or facts or data about this shit. They're just openly saying like, oh, hey, is there facts or studies, you know, of yours? Well, are there any that refute it so I can fucking, you know, confirm and, you know, believe those studies instead? Like, oh my fucking god. Holy shit, dude.
An overwhelming amount.
Like,
oh, okay, sure.
Let me pull that up.
Okay. Can you,
look, if I pull up the NIH,
sure,
and then you say go to transadvocate.com, you understand why I'm not.
Let's do this. Cool. Cornell University.
I'm not going to Breitbart for my source on desistance. Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah, you are.
Cornell University did a meta study.
Why would you just say that randomly? Of course you are. I mean, I guarantee you, he at least uses Breitbart as a source every now and then on his show.
Visit.
Okay, Cornell University did a meta study on 55 different studies. Just start looking up Cornell University meta study on detransition. Cornell University did a meta study on 55 different studies on detransitioning. Of those 55, they found 52 of the studies showed that people detransitioned at a rate of less than 4%. And of those people who did it, the reason they detransitioned was social stigma. That's 52 of the 55. The other 3 of those 55, they didn't show a net negative effect. There was not a single study of the 55 that Cornell University looked at that showed detransitioning or gender affirming care being a bad thing for trans people. If anything, it was a net positive. This is
wow, a net positive. Who would have thunk? It's as if, like, you know, doing affirmation care when it comes to, like, someone's identity and their mental health and their physical well-being and shit actually does wonders and good things, you know, to somebody, you know, when, you know, struggling with their mental health and, you know, and shit like that. Wow, go figure. Especially when it comes to, like, you know, their identity and, you know, being validated and conforming to that identity.
a study of a whole bunch of studies. I have another meta study.
So wait, but hold on.
But I'm trying to pull up a scientific study to confirm what you're saying.
Yeah, I also just want to ask a question about this too.
There's plenty of
You're
them,
mentioning that
Tim.
this is a meta-analysis of studies
Yes.
on people who have detransitioned, but by definition, right, this is taking into account people who went through, what, puberty blockers, hormone replacement therapy, physical surgeries?
Sure, for each study it was different things. In some of the studies, it was people who were going through puberty blockers. Some had hormone therapy, but a lot of them in one form or another had received gender-affirming care. They were trans when the study first tried to identify these people, and then it looked at them years later.
And how is this sample collected? Because almost every single issue or almost every single study I've seen from trans...
I mean, I would assume probably like any other, so it's like the data research that's being collected. Like, how did they, you know, come to this conclusion by finding all these people? How did you think they do different research by getting, like, you know, different groups of people to do a study on? Like, how do you think they do that? The same thing that they did here.
It's on this issue, use a convenience sample rather than doing some kind of controlled randomized test for the treatment.
So this is a meta study of a whole bunch of other studies. So
Okay.
you would have to go between each study, because at the end of the day, I don't want to fall in this trap that me and Tim were about to do, where each of us starts saying, like, well, I have a study, well, you have a study, well, I have a study. We could do this all.
Damn, he's even calling it out too. Like, I was mentioning her, it's like, I have a study, well, I have a study that rebutes your study. Dude, even he recognizes it.
So we should look at metadata, right? We should look at compromising data that looks over a whole bunch of studies. A second metadata study that I want you to look at, regret after gender-affirming surgery, a systematic review and meta-analysis of prevalence. This went to Canada, the Netherlands, Belgium, UK, Italy, USA, Brazil, Sweden, Singapore, Germany, Norway, Ireland, Serbia, and an interview between 27 studies, 7,928 trans patients. It showed a less than 1%
Right.
regret rate.
So here's
Also, can I also mention something? Desistance and detransition.
You know, we have like a fast takes we want to say that rebuke, you know, what you have to say, even though it means nothing.
Another
my God.
Okay, I got to address this right now. There is a problem we are facing in that you are saying a lot of things, and I can't pull up any sources. At the very least, all I did was Google search.
Can't be, you know, we can't pull up any sources that back our facts up because there ain't any.
I pulled up the 2 studies that were associated with it and said, here's what it says. I have not given you my personal perspective on it. You've now given me your personal view on it.
No, I've given you the studies. These are 2 meta studies.
What
I have a third meta
are
study.
the studies? Let me please pull them up. I can't find what you're talking
The
about.
first one is Cornell University. They did a meta study
What's
of
the
70.
name of it?
It's Cornell University's meta study of 72 studies on gender affirming care. Of that, 55 of the studies were directly related to detransitioning.
What meta study on?
I just want to flag that
What's the title- what's
desistance
the
and
title of the thing I can
detransitioning are
look
2
up?
different things.
Right.
as well.
What?
Look up
Cornell University meta.
Cornell University. What does scholarly research say about the effect of gender transition or on gender trans well-being? Oh, here we go. I found it. Nice.
At least someone actually has a brain.
And the third meta study that I want to bring up is a U.S. study. It's a 2015 U.S. transgender study.
But this isn't a scientific research paper that's peer reviewed.
No, this is a meta-analysis of scientifically researched papers.
Did you get
that
that
are
from what
Okay,
we
but-
know?
but-
Inequality.
But hold on, like, do we have a standard on why should we should accept?
If you want to know their methodology, there's a click here to view the methodology thing. You can find that out for yourself right there.
But this is not a peer-reviewed scientific paper.
This is a meta-analysis, Tim.
Dude, oh my God, Tim, what do you think a meta-analysis is? It's like a collection of all sorts of different peer-reviewed paper, you fucking schmuck bag motherfucker. Like, oh my God. Like, holy shit. It's like, this ain't, you know, scientific study, but it's like, yeah, it is. Like, what are you talking about? Oh my God.
Scientific papers.
I reject it outright.
Okay, so if you want to reject that,
I'm just gonna reject it because, it's not what I, consider scientific, so fuck that shit. Like, I mean, what the fuck? I mean, dude, what a worm, bro. Dude, Tim is just such a goddamn worm. How in the fuck do these weird sop motherfuckers, think this guy nails shit, bro? Like, oh, I reject these things outright because I'm an emotional little bitch and can't, handle facts that, contradict my, beliefs and claims I want to try to infer when it comes to this anti-trans bullshit that I'm pushing day in and day out.
The thing you're going to do, you're going to tell me ivermectin is some cure
fascist.
because of a
This has
meta-analysis.
nothing to do with it.
No, bro.
This has nothing to do with ivermectin.
You can't come to me when everyone tries screaming about ivermectin because of a meta-analysis that I reject and say I don't think it works.
You can go,
and then have someone from the left come to me and now claim meta-analysis is effective. No, the point is this. I said give me a study and you cannot do it.
I am on my way to give you a third meta study. A
Those aren't
combination of
studies.
cities. These are
Yeah, they are. Tim, those are fucking studies, you retarded fuck. Like, I mean, the whole point of a meta-study is a collection of, of different studies, of research papers and shit, that all correlate to, a broader issue or topic and shit. And when it comes to, looking into different studies and research about transforming care, yeah, there's going to be multiple different types of studies, and that's why there's a thing called meta-studies. You fucking idiot.
No, if we go study to study
Okay,
back and
bro.
forth, Tim, this is going to take fucking forever. So let's
give
look
me one study. One study. I give you two. Give me one.
This is embarrassing.
I've got like
Embarrassing. You can't give me one study. I giving you
He
two.
gave you 3 meta-studies, and you're just like, I reject them outright because, meh, I don't want to read all these studies. You refuse to give me one, even though he gave me, like, the equivalent of hundreds, basically.
And I didn't even make an assertment. I Googled it and pulled up what I
You
found.
want individual studies
I
instead of
Googled-
meta-analysis, which is ridiculous, but sure, here's individual studies. The mental health outcomes in transgender non-binary youth receiving gender-affirming care from February 25th, 2022. This shows
Let me type it in and pull it up for you.
Yeah, but I can explain to them while you're doing your own research.
Kids
who
I need
receive
you to
puberty
tell me what the name
blockers
is so I can
and
pull it up.
mental health outcomes in
Mental health
transgender
outcomes in
transgender and non-binary youth receiving gender-affirming care, February 25th, 2022, peer-reviewed study. The findings, kids who received puberty blockers and hormone therapy had 60% lower odds of moderate or severe depression and 73% lower odds of suicidality. Here's another individual study for you.
Wait, hold on. That nothing to do with desistance.
Do you want to go back to desistance studies?
That's what I was asking you about. I Google search desistance. Wikipedia
Look
has
up-
2 studies that say it's 61 to 98%. You said that's wrong. I said, what's your source?
yes.
You didn't give me one.
I did on the spot.
You gave me a
It's okay, we're on
meta-analysis
camera, so
that is not peer-reviewed. It's not a peer-reviewed source.
Meta-analysis. If you want to go back and forth, Tim, on
Oh my god, like, a meta-analysis is basically, a culmination of various different peer-reviewed studies, you dingbatted motherfucker. Like, yet that is. Like, why, it's weird inference, it's like, it's just literally pure emotional fucking reactionary bullshit. It's just fascist garbage. It's like, I reject your science and it's pseudoscience bullshit and fake, and my science, the only real true superior science, so I'm only gonna have things that affirm my type of shit. I mean, it's just like, oh, this is like rumor advocacy science and shit. Back at how the Germans, thought, oh, there's like, Jewish science and then there's like real proper science and shit. It really isn't really that much different. It's like, Tim Pool, you fucking fascist motherfucker. It's like, I mean, I mean, you have every right to be called that and shit, and you have no right to get fucking offended over it. Because, if the audience that you fucking, galvanize and shit, and with, the bullshit that you spew, like, yeah, this is, and especially when it came to you advocating for civil war endlessly and shit, like, during 2020, which I know you're gonna do again. You're gonna, start doing that shit again, so, I mean, if not already, still doing it. Because this motherfucker don't give a shit. He's a dishonest, money-making, grifty little fuck.
studies. Like I said, this can take forever. So
Do you not have a single study?
I've named you tons of studies.
No. You've given me a meta-analysis, not a single
A
study.
meta-analysis combines other studies. Do you understand how that works?
Yes.
So of that,
So what
55
your
studies that
argument
it
is,
looked, of the
is
55
that you've
studies
got
that it looked
72
at,
studies that have drawn a
52 of them
conclusion, and then
said
someone
that it
looked
is
at
less
them and
than
made a
4%,
different.
Tim.
You're saying that out of 72 studies that found a
No,
conclusion.
55. It looked at 72. 55 talked about detransitioning.
It was a hypothetical number. I'm saying
51.
you're looking at
52. Yeah.
a bunch of studies that have come to conclusions
Of course.
that are peer reviewed, and you're saying, but someone analyzed those.
Cornell
and
University did.
Who from Cornell?
click here to view
Right,
our methodology, and you
this-
can learn
this is
about
the
the
point.
methodology. You just rejected it outright when you saw it. You were like,
Because
I
it's not a
reject this
study.
outright.
It's not a
It's
study.
a meta-analysis of studies. These are different things. I'm explaining that to you.
The problem is these studies have their own conclusions you're ignoring.
They combine their conclusions to reach their findings.
Let me
That's why we do
explain
this.
for those that want to understand what I'm trying to say.
Oh, in the
During
house?
COVID, there were a whole
No, he's in the laundry room.
Why is he in the laundry room?
Because he put himself in there.
studies
doing,
down,
you goof?
individual studies, peer-reviewed, that found ivermectin did not work. The right kept bringing up meta-analyses that said, actually, it does. I said, and I said this to Joe Rogan, I reject that. Show me the actual study. I do not believe this.
And also, I guarantee you, Tim, because I'm pretty sure, remember, you were not exactly someone who was against, going against, the whole claim about ivermectin being bullshit, because I'm pretty sure that, you're someone who pushed it yourself.
Correct.
So
I will not afford you some benefit to come in and make the same argument to me. If you do not have a study that is peer-reviewed and cited, then I'm not going to entertain your opinions.
So when I bring up the Cornell University study, that's
not a study, it's a meta-analysis.
Yeah, of 55 peer-reviewed studies, whose conclusion of 52 came to the fact that there is a less than 4% detransition
brother.
rate. If you go
Is
to
that man?
r/science, Tim, you can find out. No. This
Come on. I asked you for, you're pulling up Reddit when I'm...
No,
when I
I'm
pull
pulling
up
up Reddit because Cecilia Benito.
it's like, oh, look, a lefty bringing up Reddit lol memes. It's like, what, the right wing doesn't, bring up a bunch of goddamn Reddit memes and shit all the fucking time and act like a bunch of Reddit bros themselves. Like, oh my god.
Pronounced Jen DeGen explains and downplays why you're wrong about that 80 to 85% because she's the one who actually did that study. She's the one who did the study you cited. So she explains why it's being misused. It is not true.
I can say this. There are arguments about what is true all day, every day. There's arguments that M theory is wrong and that science is unwilling to give up because too many scientists have dedicated their lives to it. So they argue that M theory is the theory, while others are coming up with like E8 Lie group theory or whatever. I totally understand that people will decide what they think is true or not. Hence, I have a bottom line standard. If the right comes at me and says, ivermectin meta-analyses prove it works, I say, don't know, don't care. We have rejected the concept of someone analyzing a collection of studies and making determination. What our standard is, or at the very least where I'm at is, if we're going to have any basic agreement on what is or isn't, there has to be a unified standard there, which is a peer-reviewed study, which is not absolute. If I have two peer-reviewed studies and the establishment narrative, when I search for it, says 61 to 98%, I will not accept your meta-analysis opinion the same as I wouldn't for someone who believes ivermectin works, because
I'm just a literal reactioner no matter what. It's like, and I love how he's, equivocating this to, some ivermectin meta-analysis study that he's, just, putting out there randomly. Which, I wouldn't be surprised if there's, like, some biased meta-analysis that some conservatives try to push, I ain't gonna doubt him on that inherently. But, like, the idea to equivocate that to, like, trans rights meta-analysis studies and they're basically literally the same thing is fucking retarded and is melting my motherfucking brain. Man, like, this dude is fucking just, like, seriously something else.
is founded upon the same basis as theirs.
Okay, so first off, the meta-analysis of ivermectin actually showed that it wasn't effective at preventing or treating COVID-19. That was the actual meta-analysis on ivermectin, so it actually would back up your own claims. Secondly...
Oh my god, of course. Yeah, there probably was a few right-wing voices, that were trying to push otherwise, cherry-picked certain data. But the broader analysis that he's talking about actually, backs up his actual fucking claim. But he rejects it outright because, ooh woo, it hurts my fifis or something.
We can look at individual studies, and it can take a very long time, but we should look at regret after gender-affirming surgery, a systematic review, and meta-analysis of prevalence, which looks at, again, 27 studies and interviews 7,928 trans people across the world. And again, in places like Italy, USA, Brazil, you name it, that meta-analysis also found a less than 1% regret rate. You have to be able to combine multiple studies because this is something that has been so thoroughly investigated globally for so long that to ignore the science and data on this is to flagrantly...
Well, there's not been a single large-scale randomized clinical trial for puberty blockers that treat gender dysphoria. There's not been one.
You all are very against Lupron, right? Well, I don't know much about it.
I know. I
saying
just
very against is pretty strong.
Okay.
I'm typically like, we shouldn't give.
I'm saying there hasn't been one large-scale randomized clinical trial for these
like
treatments.
Lupron.
Mainly because people like you want to continue to suppress trans people and gender-affirming care and research and study on those issues. So thus there isn't broader clinical trials when it comes to things like this, because it's so fucking restricted and prohibited. Like, I wonder who could be the issue as to why those things happen to be the case.
When children go through like the early onset puberty, and it's like an actual medical issue, like,
yes, of course.
That's why saying very against something is like, well, what we're talking about is, are we going to a kid who are we dealing with an actual case of, say, endocrine disruption caused by phthalates in PCBs, or are we dealing with a kid who's just playing with dolls and the parents are incorrect, right?
And in that case, you would have a long process.
Incorrect about what?
Where they would have to do interviews with, again,
Except-
professionals who would determine
Alright.
whether or not it's appropriate. And people who go on puberty blockers, I want to add this, it's for a limited amount of time. They want to do it only to be able to hold that off. No, it isn't. If you speak to the actual doctors on this, you only take it. No, Tim, let me finish the sentence. Come on. You brought me on your show. Let me finish this. You only go on puberty blockers for a short amount of time before you can go to HRT. They do not want to keep them on puberty blockers, and that way you avoid a lot of the potential negative side effects
We
from
had
that.
Helena Kirshner on the show, who walked into a Planned Parenthood and within minutes was given the maximum dose of testosterone.
Anecdote.
Absolutely.
Lived
So when I say
Lived
lived experience
experience,
happens, you say it doesn't happen. I'm saying it did happen.
No, I'm saying it can happen.
And that's-
I'm
and-
saying you
and-
have.
It's literally just a lived experience bias. Like, Lance is just like is calling it for literally straight up what it is. Like, anecdote. That's what it is. Like, anecdotes, aren't a totality of the broader data. Like, I mean, they're only really meritable in a sense of like, of considering the fact that there are exceptional circumstances or cases, that that are added as kind of basically like as outliers, which those anecdotes, especially predominantly end up making, like so. I mean, you can have all the anecdotes you want and shit, but like broadly statistically, it bears out when it comes to things like that. I mean, yeah, there are outliers, anecdotal cases, and exceptional circumstances, outside of the broader data, of course. I mean, pretty much anything that's studied, and when it comes to like statistics and shit, there's always going to be outliers.
Broader data. You have to look at broader
that's the
trends.
issue I take, right?
Yeah, and it wouldn't make sense if I brought up a single horror story to you and said, this is fact. It can happen.
I said we don't want that to happen.
Of course, no one wants that to happen. But
Okay,
then
so
if we
it
want
shouldn't
to
happen.
if we want to understand how this is actually taking place around the world from an actual perspective of science, we have to look at the data. We have to look at meta studies. We have to look at and analyze global understanding of this. When it comes to Lupron, by example, yes, it's true that Lupron is not FDA approved for the use of on cisgender children. There is a product that is FDA approved for use with children that is a puberty blocker, and it has been used for a long time, for generations and decades. It's Lupron. It was just being done.
No, but that's for an
cis kids.
entirely different reason. That's for an
That's for an entirely different reason that that does not count at all. My emotional reactionary bent to this, tells me that this is literally just something that is, like not actually related to this at all, even though it is. So fuck you. How about that?
really different
cis
reason. So
children.
to say we
For
want to
cis
prevent,
children.
to say we want to prevent a child from undergoing early onset puberty so that they can develop at a normal, healthy rate
pre
is
8 years
entirely
old.
different.
That's about it.
It is entirely different from saying we're going to administer puberty blockers because this child feels they're a member of the opposite sex.
No, it ain't. Like having people blockers have like pretty much have already existed and shit like that can be used for that exact same situation, there, buddy. You fucking weird Irish fucking block for you. I'm like, oh my god.
An entirely
But
different
but
reason
whether or
for-
not it's
because you're
used
looking
is
for a
dangerous
different.
is going to be the problem, right? You want to know
Yes.
whether or not its use is going to be dangerous on
Yes,
children.
and
Yes.
the reason for administering a certain treatment can render it dangerous. So, for example, if we have been amputating people's limbs for hundreds of years, if I go into a doctor and say, please cut my arm off because I don't want it anymore, and he cuts my arm off, that's medical malpractice. For you to jump in and go, we've been cutting people's arms off for hundreds of years. This is
Wait, what does this have to do with anything? What the fuck? And also, like, I mean, I get, I'm assuming it doesn't happen, but I guess there isn't, necessarily stopping someone for attempting to try to get an elective procedure to do that. But yeah, a doctor ain't gonna just do that.
approved.
But what's that have to do with any of this?
We're allowed to do this.
You know, like, hey, you know, doctors shouldn't be allowed to, like, you know, do, like, trans-affirming care, because that would be the equivalent of malpractice, like, you know, just having people not wanting their arms anymore and wanting those cut off, you know, and blah, blah, blah. Like, what?
It's not. Yes, absolutely.
So what you're describing is called BIID, body identity disorder. I forget how it's spelled. It is a real phenomenon.
Dysmorphic.
Yes, it's extremely rare, but we know enough about it at this point to know that people will seek out to get operations on the black market if they have BIID. And what we found when people do that and go into the black market to have a limb removed is that it only provides a temporary amount of relief for their condition, and then it returns, and they have further complications from the fact that they now have a disability and or medical complications that come from all
My
that.
point is not about any kind of body dysmorphia about losing a limb. My point is about drawing a false conclusion by a medical treatment being allowed under circumstance A but not being allowed under circumstance B. You're saying we allow it for kids who have hit precocious puberty, but then we don't allow it for kids who don't want to go through puberty because they don't want to be a member of the opposite sex.
It's still not FDA approved. That's different.
But you understand my point.
I
You can't claim those things are the same.
I just Google searched it real quick. Stat in 2017, 100 out of 100 with NewsGuard. Drug used to halt puberty may cause lasting health problems. More than 10,000 adverse event reports were filed with the FDA, reflecting the experience of women who've taken Lupron, describing everything from brittle bones to faulty joints.
You know, regarding meta-analyses,
I'm worried about, you know, giving kids things on an experimental basis.
yeah, this is a huge, long conversation, and it would be
And, notice how the article said may, you know, cause these issues, because there have been certain circumstances for some people which might have other, you know, pre-existing conditions that may lead to these issues, you know, and other conditions that have, you know, led for those problems. Yeah, you know, because obviously it doesn't happen for everybody. So there's other variables at play, you know, when it comes to those individuals and their specific experiences taking Lupron, where, you know, overall they, you know, had those side effects, which is not good and unfortunate, but, you know, that's like a reason why, you know, you do, like, you know, broader studies about these things.
awesome to go through each study. I would love to. It would probably take like 7 hours, 6 hours, but we could do it, but like not tonight, unfortunately.
Well, so let me ask you though,
but I want to keep down this path because I think
Yeah,
we're making good progress.
Let me
here.
ask you a question,
Of course.
right? Like Jazz Jennings is sterile, right?
Hold on, did he have like a little like ammo crate and like a little baby bomb in the background behind Lance there?
I don't know.
Oh my god, there is. Oh my god, dude, what is this room?
Jazz Jennings.
She's a reality TV star, right?
Jazz Jennings.
Yeah.
I'm concerned that Jazz isn't trans. Because
That's not for us to say.
I didn't say. I said I'm concerned that Jazz is not trans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is Jazz is
Well, hey, guess what? That's you saying that, you know, she ain't.
now, right? So then Jazz
What
would
does that
be,
have to do with being trans?
well, Jazz would then be a biological male dating women at the age of 23.
What does
right?
that have to do with being trans?
So it has to do with whether or not Jazz made the decision for themselves or the parent made it when they were 3 years old. So the question is, we want to avoid a John Money type situation, right? Where you had these two kids and the doctor told one of the young boys he was actually a girl and then forced him to live as a girl, ultimately resulting in his suicide and then the death of the brother as well. We don't want that to happen. And so that did happen already, and we know that happened. So we have to be careful about taking a 3-year-old and then raising them and telling them they're female, because then if they start exhibiting traditional, gender behaviors, there may be some concern. For instance, Jazz stopped dilating, and that was the big controversy over the past few weeks. The mother going on TV saying she would force Jazz to do it. If Jazz is saying, I'm not gonna, and the mother saying, do it.
I like Vance's just cold stare. It's just blank cold stare of like, what is this random anecdotal bullshit story?
in your neck, which is a quote. And then Jazz is not dating women. We're starting to see a pattern that may be concerning because it follows the John Money situation. Whether or not Jazz is trans or not, my concern is, what if? And that means that
What if though? Like, what if these trans people might have these like John Money situations or something, which I don't even know what the whole context of that is specifically, but like,
in order to be pushed down a path that ultimately leads to their suicide.
so basically just like, what if though? We're just, you know, it's like tough love, you know, we want to deny them, you know, gender affirming care because we're concerned and want to actually help them. Wink wink. It's like, oh my god, dude, this shit is just so fucking
Their parents can't make
sociopathic.
the decision for them, but they did.
So the data overwhelmingly shows that if you give children gender-affirming care, especially if you have loving and accepting parents who accept children's actual gender identity, it reduces the rates of suicide dramatically. In the case of a parent who affirms their child's gender, it can reduce suicide rates of up to 93% in some studies. It's not a case of more often than not, these are children who are approaching their parents saying they think this is something happening to them, and parents pushing back and being like, no, this is wrong, you're just a tomboy, oh, this is, this is not you, this is blah, blah, blah. And you don't go into a doctor and all of a sudden they're like, here's Lupron.
They do.
No, but they don't. The average...
No, but they do, though. They just, like, give it away like it's candy, bruh.
Time.
No.
The average amount of time
You can't say they don't when we've had the anecdotes they do. Call it an anecdote.
It's an anecdote.
You literally just said it is an anecdote. It's like calling it an anecdote, even though I said it was, because it doesn't mean anything. Like, guess what? Anecdotes don't mean shit when it comes to, like, the broader data, when it comes to this type of shit, you fucking moron. Like, what happened to being, like, facts over feelings, you little bitch? I know it's Ben Shapiro's shtick, but all you fucking far-right fascist fuckers are always like this. So, I mean, it's like, what the fuck?
Does happen.
Of course, but that's an anecdote. We have to look at data.
Don't say
science,
it doesn't
statistics.
happen.
Well, it happens, but that doesn't mean it's a broad
it should
trend.
not happen.
Right, but that's okay. This is asinine. We have to talk about what actually occurs via the numbers, right? That's what matters. Like, I have here the largest U.S. transgender survey ever done. It's in 2015 to 21,598 participants, and this covers people in childhood, adolescence, and adulthood, and it has all the results you're looking for.
So let me ask you a question. Why do you think we're seeing the a rapid increase in the past few years
I can explain that as well.
Of young people identifying as trans?
Okay.
Because of trans acceptance and normalization of trans people and shit, like... Because, like, the more something's accepted after being so oppressed and not accepted for a long time, there's a surge. But then after that, there ends up being a stagnation and, like, kind of a drop-off, in that surge. Like, it was the same thing for left-handed people. Like, when it came to, like, writing as a lefty and shit, like, a lot of people and it was basically enforced for a long time to write with your right hand. And it was very rare for someone to really have a left-hand writing and shit. But that type of shit stopped getting enforced, and after that, there was a surge of people writing with their left hand, and after that, it stagnated off, and has always been around that number ever since. Like, I mean, there's always, like, a segment of the population, or, like, kind of a, segment of a demographic that, once it's kind of, like, more accepted, so to speak, surges up, and then it kind of stagnates for a while, and then sticks around, it kind of fluctuates around that number approximate.
Can you read the study, please?
Of course. So it shows the 2015 U.S. transgender survey of 21,598 participants that with hormone therapy, psychological distress for children reduces by 222%, late adolescence 153%, adulthood 81%, suicidal ideation for children goes down 135%, for adolescents 62%, and for adults 21%. That is dramatic.
Is this the Stanford Medical School survey analysis done by Jack Turbin?
I don't know the person who did it.
Okay.
But in terms of the increase, Tim, of people...
Because there was a study done by Stanford Medical School that very closely fits the description of what you've just read out there, which is very ascientific and what data is collected.
It's very ascientific. It's very similar to that, and it's a bunch of bullshit, and I'm just going to write it off and think it's a bunch of trans pseudoscience, science activism and shit. Go back in the 30s. Oh, I read a study by this, Jutta scientist, from this one college out in Munich, and had a very similar study like yours, but it was very ascientific because it's one of those Jewish studies. It's like you fucking freak.
Yeah, so just please find the source of that, because I want to pull that apart, but I want to be sure that I know you're talking about that study.
I'm curious as to why you think it's increasing so much.
What's that signify?
The history of left-handedness.
This is the...
Oh, wow, I mentioned that earlier, and wow, even Lance, like, had that shit on standby, dude. Brendan Fraser had that shit on standby, son. Oh, my God.
Left-handedness in the United States. Mm-hmm. Do you see what happens here?
It levels out. It goes up and levels out.
Levels.
We used to treat people who were left-handed as satanic, as the devil, all that kind of shit. You remember that, right? And that's why there was a lot of people who didn't.
Oh my God! I heard that. I don't know who said that, but they're like, "Oh no, oh God!" Because they know they got, dude. Lance got him there. Because because there's that was historic. Like, they would literally, like, beat people writing with their left hand and shit, over things like that. Like, I mean, it was, like, like a legit kind of crazy policy culturally that was, heavily enforced. and there was like a huge spike of enforcement when there was like kind of a avocation of like, why are we doing this, where that dip is. And then once there was like more normalization and people kind of realized, yeah, why are we doing this, it spiked up a lot. And then once it got normalized, to a certain enough time and extent, it eventually stagnated and leveled off and stayed relatively about the same.
Left-handed, and then boom, when we stopped doing that after the 1880s and in the 1900s, it spiked. Now this spike isn't because there was a whole bunch of indoctrination, or Alex Jones was like, oh, left-handed ideology, everyone has become left-handed. This has nothing to do with that. This is naturally how
that was a good Alex Jones impersonation.
left-handed people there were, and then it plateaued. We are in a situation right now where it is safer than ever for people to come out, and if they're queer, bisexual, whatever it is, and because of that, they feel safer expressing that. That's why Gen Z of all
I was concerned there was a
generations-
transgenocide.
Yeah, so he
Oh, well, I was concerned there was a transgender going on. Yeah, because the fact that there's more normalization means that there's more fascists like you that are trying to push transgenocide. I mean, of course, y'all are going to be like, denying it. Of course, when something like that gets propped up. Like, oh, these leftists are talking about transgenocide, but, nonetheless, though, look, y'all are surging and spiking are everywhere. Huh, I thought there was, like this whole attempt for transgenocide. Fucking.
This is the actual statistics on people increasing. You can see the red one. That is Gen Z. That is the amount of people who in Gen Z, it's skyrocketing. It looks like they're identifying more than ever because their generation feels more comfortable talking about this kind of stuff.
So you don't think that there's like a transgenocide or anything like that?
I don't think that there's a trans indoctrination that is coming through media.
Genocide, I said.
Yes, and I'm saying that I don't think there's a trans indoctrination coming through media that is programming kids to become trans. I think that's ridiculous. And if you want to change topics to talk about transgenocide, we can move on to that. But you asked me specifically why is there a spike? Yeah. That is why.
Okay, so my follow-up is you think trans people feel safer than ever?
No. Right now there's over 400 different bills being pushed in the United States that is directly targeting trans people.
So they don't feel safe?
Of course they don't.
So then why are they coming out if they don't feel safe?
They have more access because that generation...
Oh my god, this guy's so stupid. I hate Temple so much. Oh, so you said they feel safe, but yet they don't feel safe, so why come out though? I don't know, because there's more resource available, there's more, broader social acceptance, and, especially within younger people, more general acceptance and outlets of resources, for people who are trans and shit, and who are also queer. I mean, this isn't just like, it's either all safe or it's all dangerous type of bullshit. Because there is more acceptance and more widespread normalization, that's why there's also such a, gun-ho push, against trans folk and shit, which thus makes it not safe for them when it comes to, broader, life and shit. Even though there's a lot of different people out there, especially who are younger, that happen to, accept trans people more. It's just like, you can have both. This is like one of those instances where, you can say both are correct.
Generation Z has a lot more acceptance towards trans people than older people who pass laws, draconian people who pass laws. The boomers are the ones running the show right now. They're still the ones in government. They're still the ones passing laws. There's very few Generation Z in government or parliament.
You want to know what I think? I think there is a transgenocide.
Okay.
And I think it's you.
Okay.
Because you're sterilizing a lot of these people.
How so?
I mean...
Oh my god. This is just like delusional. I mean, there's nothing but literally pure fucking delusion just being said. It's like, oh, there is a transgenocide, but it's coming from you on the left. It's the left that wants to sterilize our babies and murder all of our babies in the womb at the 8th to 9th month period. It's like, this guy is basically just like a full-on fucking fascist, dude. Like, this guy's just fucking insane.
They're literally sterilizing them. The surgery to remove the gonads, hysterectomies, and puberty and cross-sex hormones and puberty blockers have a high rate of sterilization. I mean, first of all, removal of the gonads in the uterus is an absolute sterilization, and then puberty blockers have a very high rate, and cross-sex hormones have an extremely high rate of sterilizing the individual. So
I had these for maybe later tonight, but goddamn, I'm cracking one up now. Fuck this. Oh my god, I need at least one of these. Like, Jesus Christ.
People can no longer reproduce. That's genocide.
Is this the joke you're gonna go for?
Fucking Vance isn't even going to entertain in this shit. Oh, dude, man, I am loving Vance, bro. Or not Vance, but Lance. I love this guy. I really do. Oh my god. Dude, that was kind of a Chad move. We gotta hear that again.
That's genocide.
It's Jedi.
Is this the joke you're gonna go for?
Oh, joke. Oh my god, dude. Oh my fucking god. Dude, Temple is offended that he said that. He is butthurt. Oh my god, he is butthurt. Oh my god. Fuck yeah, dude. Oh, dude, Lance, I love it. Dude, that was a clip moment right there. That was a clip and shit moment, dude. That was a highlight for me. That was some highlight shit. Oh my god. Dude, I love Vance. That was great. Why do I keep calling him Vance? Lance, Vance, god damn it.
You are removing these people's ability to reproduce. And if
So what? There's plenty of other people that can. And also, there's biological male and cis, biological cis men and women who can't reproduce. So, we don't freak out over that. Or what about, biological intersex people where, both of the gonads or one or the other is sterile, and infertile. So, what about them? We don't freak out about that shit. It's suddenly trans people getting gender-affirming surgeries and shit that is suddenly a fucking problem. And suddenly that is the big issue, and that's somehow a genocide. It's like... What about people that also take elective surgeries to have vasectomies or tie their tubes and shit like that? There are people that have elective surgeries for that. I've known men that, have vasectomies and shit where obviously they aren't, getting neutered or whatever the fuck, but, they kind of, cut their, vas deferens, so, they can't reproduce anymore, but nonetheless... the hormones are still all kicking and shit, but, nonetheless, they're sterilized. So, there's plenty of various different instances for this type of shit, especially when it comes to an elective procedure case. Is that suddenly all genocide when a cis man or a cis woman decides, to have an elective procedure to be, to make themselves sterile? Because there's a lot of people that do that because, they just inherently don't want the risk of having children, or... there's maybe some other factors, or maybe they just want to do that for their own personal, reason, just because they simply want to. I mean, there could literally be all sorts of reasons as to why. And that ain't genocide, but, gender-affirming surgery, though, that's genocide. It's like, fuck out of here, you stupid far-right fascist motherfucker.
Age, and they haven't had the ability. For instance, Jazz Jennings can never have kids. Jazz Jennings...
Who cares? Why do you give a fuck? Why? That is just so fucking creepy. This idea that, we need to, worry about whether someone can or can't have children. Mind your fucking business, you freak. You goddamn creep. Why don't you worry about if you can have kids or not? Not if someone else can. Goddamn weirdo.
And this probably part of your studies, can't actually feel any... sexual feeling of any kind.
Do you have any idea how weird this sounds right now?
Dude, for real! Thank you, Lance! Oh my god! Dude, this shit is so fucking creepy. It sounds fetishistic, frankly. It just sounds so creepy. This is so weird. Man, holy shit, this is just, God. And, oh, wait, I thought the left and the trans people were all the groomers. But no, it's, oh my god, I'm honestly getting EBGBs now. Holy fuck, because it is weird. This is so fucking creepy.
Why are you obsessing with a stranger's genital pleasure? That's so weird. That's so bizarre.
That was very weird yourself.
What the fuck is... No, it's not. No, it wasn't. Oh my god, that is projection. That was just pure motherfucking projection. Dude, Lance looks confused. Dude, he looks befuddled. He's like, what? It's like calling you out for you being a weirdo and creepy about, fixating on someone's, sexual pleasure as a trans person. Calling that out isn't creepy? No, it's not. The initial thing they're calling out is the creepy thing and is weird. Like, and being like, oh, well, what you did was just weird yourself. Which also means you acknowledge what you just said was weird, Tim Pool. You admit that that was weird. So you're just saying, all you're going to say is that, like, oh, well, you calling me out for it is weird, so you just made it weirder. Got you. You're the one who actually made it the most ultimate weird. I only made it the penultimate weird. You made it the most ultimate weird by bringing it up. It's like, like, you can't be fucking serious, Tim. Like, I know you're a grifty fucking Weasley little shitbag, but I mean, goddamn. Like, now I really want to see what's under that goddamn beanie, dude. I really want to see what's under the beanie.
Guys are all
brought
weird.
that up?
No. So I'm
just
talking
brought this
about
up.
adults who engage in activities, which is a large portion of the global economy, whether you like it or not.
Sure.
Sex.
Again, this is a weird way to be describing this whole thing. It's like this whole thing that people partake in the broader global economy, you know, sex, because I see this as a whole transaction thing, you know, thing based off of capital, because I see, you know, having children as like a sense of like, you know, material value instead of, you know, a human life. I thought you know, worship the sanctity of life. You know, suddenly you're devaluing life by treating it like material capital and material property, not as, you know, when it comes to like, you know, sex and or when it comes to like having children and being fertile or not. Like suddenly it's like a capital based like property means thing instead of like, you know, just a part of being human. Like, it sounds like you're the one who's like revoking a lot of the whole sanctity of life and all this other bullshit, you fucking weirdo.
Say, and when I say this person will never have this ability, you go, how weird is that?
It's weird for you to fixate on a stranger's genital pleasure. That's strange. That's so bizarre.
Well,
Like,
she's
why-
public about it.
But see,
why.
you're not making an argument right now.
It's public about it, that's why, so it's okay for us to talk about it. Dude, that nerd is like on some fucking Xannies. That guy is on he popped a Xanny or two for this, and it kicked in probably like 40 minutes ago, and now he's just really vibing. That guy with the long hair is on some Xans and vibing.
No, I'm saying it's weird. It's not an argument.
Yeah,
I'm just that's an observation.
So you're trying to make an appeal to emotion and an appeal to
No,
shame.
I'm just
Tim, you fucking freak. Everything has to be a gotcha with you, dude. Everything has to be a fucking gotcha, Tim Pool. I mean, really? Every little thing with the left always has to be, like, framed as some sort of a gotcha or, like, one-up, you know, to make yourself feel better. Like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? Like, you really think it's, like, you know, some Machiavellian thing, you know, to just do a mere commentary of, like, some basic observation of, you know, something that you did being weird, Tim? Like, are you serious, bro? There isn't, like, some weird gotcha or, like, appeal to emotion or shame, you fucking goober. And you know what? You should be shamed. I mean, so fuck you anyway. I mean, if anything, you should be.
genuine thought when you say something like that. Like,
well, that it was a really fucking pathetic attempt at trying to make an argument.
Why should we talk about that?
That's not an argument, and it wasn't fucking pathetic. Like, you bringing it... The fact that you are defending this type of shit, Tim, and you'll consistently still, you know, hanging on to this, shows that you got a fucking nerve hit on you. Like, you had a nerve hit, Tim. Like, this hit a fucking nerve. Like, I could tell, like, this struck a goddamn nerve of him. Like, because he's really fixated on this. Like, really more so than that whole, like, abortion thing from earlier. Like, I mean, seriously, like, he is getting fucking flustered. Because he's, like, really starting to let his guard down. And, you know, Lance just making, you know, if anything, sometimes just mere observational commentary. And he has to, you know, find any way to, you know, like, make himself look good because he knows that Lance is basically fucking pointing out the obvious. Yeah, it is weird. Like, I mean, even if you think that, like, it's unfortunate that, you know, Jazz or Jazzy or whatever her name is, you know, can't have children anymore. Like, the weird hyperfixation about that, and also the fact that they can't feel sexual pleasure anymore, and that type of shit is a fucking fixation and weird. And even to some of your right-wing audience may consider that weird, you know, especially if it's brought up. You know, they might not notice it if you just, you know, let it slide, but, you know, and considering that you're now hanging on to it, you're just bringing more highlight to the attention now.
Why should we discuss whether or not she has genital feeling? That's not important. It's not. It's none of my business.
So let's focus then on the sterilizing of the individual.
Sure.
Are you okay with that?
Who's sterilizing people?
Jazz Jennings is sterile.
why are we going back to Jazz Jennings?
And who cares?
I don't,
Because
know,
Jazz
I don't know
Jennings is
anything
famous.
about her.
Because Jazz is a famous individual on cable television.
So if she is
Who
steroid,
cares? And what? Just because that she happens to be, famous on cable TV, like Lance is supposed to know that? I literally never knew about Dylan Mulvaney until you fucking weird fascists, brought her up. Like, I mean, and now like this Jazz Jennings person. Like, I have no idea who this is, but now, she's in my lexicon in my brain as, like, someone that exists now, because, Tim Pool's consistently bringing her up. Like, I would have never known about her if Tim Pool, was the one inferring her so goddamn much right now. But, they have to. Like, I mean, when it comes to these, like, people who happen to be trans and shit, they have to hyperfixate it endlessly and shit because it's like, the big fear-mongering scapegoat. Like, they're always going to be the big fucking enemy to these fuckers.
have to do with me? Why does that concern me?
Do
Why
you
should I pass
support the
legislation?
sterilization of teenagers?
This is such a weird way to frame this. Like,
You are removing
really-
teenagers' ability to have children.
No, you're not. No, he's not. No one is doing that. Like, what the fuck is this weird shit? And why do you care? What, like, why? Because what does that say about you, you fucking weirdo? Like, now you're really digging yourself into a more deeper hole, because this is getting more creepy. Like, now you're starting to talk about, like, the fixation about teenagers being able to have, be able to be pregnant. Why are you talking about that? Why are you, like, fixated on that shit, Tim? Why? Because that shit is fucking weird for an adult to be talking about.
anything. I'm not a doctor, Tim.
You
I don't have the
support
ability
it,
to do this.
right?
I support people having access to health care. Of course. Why would I want to prevent that just because
Do
some
you
people have
agree-
bigotry towards them?
Let's try again. You seem scared of this.
Lance is not scared of anything, dude. Like, this guy is a fucking just, like one of those Easter Island, statues is like, just standing there strong, not giving a fuck, dude.
You believe that parents and doctors should have the ability to remove the ability of a child for future reproduction.
They should have the ability to give them access to health care. Of course they should.
So why do you keep saying it like that?
You're implying that
Why do you keep saying it like that? Because it's healthcare. Like, gender-affirming care and shit is healthcare. And the access to healthcare should be a right, for anyone to have, because, like, a right to a healthy body should be, a granted right, for people, and to have access, to resources to have a healthy body and shit, and to have, the best decisions, between them and their doctor, for their own health. So that's why. Because this issue goes beyond just, trans rights and shit. This also is partly a healthcare argument. Because it's like, hey, do we want to restrict, people's, access to healthcare, or do we want to expand it? Like, really fundamentally, that's the root to this argument. It's just interwoven with extreme bigotry towards trans people, where you want to selectively restrict it for trans people.
single gender affirming care results in sterilization. That is not true at all.
I said the removal
There's
of
also
the-
people who are trans that never get bottom
You
surgery.
seem very scared of this. It's scaring you.
How am I afraid to?
Because you keep deflecting when I ask you. So Jazz,
Oh, wait, so having nuance is deflecting now?
specific
Deflecting.
example. Let's try this.
Tim, you're the one just consistently deflecting about, sexual fertility of teenagers and, this sexual pleasure of, Jazz Jennings and the fact that she can't feel any and stuff like that. You're the one doing that, you fucking freak. You're the one who's, deflecting into really weird shit.
Let's slow down and go one point at a time,
You
right?
think I'm deflecting because I don't want to keep talking about someone's genital pleasure who's a stranger? I'm
Nice
saying
try.
it
Nice try.
shouldn't concern
Nice
you.
try.
It shouldn't concern
Nice
you.
Nice try. Tim, oh my god, he really it got a nerve struck when Lance called that out. He got a nerve struck when Lance called that shit right the fuck out, dude. Oh my god, a nerve was hit, dude. There's some internalized triggering going on within Tim right now. He's honestly kind of trying to hold it a little bit, because I feel like Tim would kind of blow up a little bit. Lance, just come on, Lance. You gotta fucking, just egg him on further, dude. If Tim Pool blows up on somewhere in this and starts freaking out a little bit and gets uppity and shit, oh my god, this would be great.
Tim,
Your appeal to emotion is not going to work on me. I'm asking.
Your appeal to emotion will not work on me, liberal scum. No. Dude, what a nerd. Dude, even Vance, or I keep calling him Vance. He's just Vance now. You know what? I know you're called Lance, but fuck it. Yeah, you know what? Make it easier. You're just Brendan Fraser. I mean, he has a really strong liking to Brendan Fraser, so whatever.
Well, I can appeal to your emotion.
I'm trying a logic-based question about the future of these people. I believe you are genociding them. I believe you intend on genociding autistic individuals. I genuinely...
What? Whoa, wait, where do autistic people come into this? Like, huh? No, what? Oh my god, this is holy McFucksticks, dude. Like, how do autistic people get interwoven in this, and how is there, what? My brain, man, I don't know if, this is something.
Believe that.
Who's autistic in this?
A large portion of trans kids are autistic, namely...
So, I mean, there's plenty of people who are autistic who are not trans. So what? It's oh no, like like people are autistic, it might, you know, be doing some contagion towards the transes or some shit, or like what like what's this supposed to mean, honestly? Like
So this is an issue in that young lesbian autistic females are a large portion of those who are transgender.
Do you have data on this?
and why so specific? Autistic lesbian women? So now we're talking about trans men? Or like
Bro, do you have data on what you've brought up? You couldn't give me one study, but yes,
I've given
oh my god, he's literally given 8 quadrillion studies there, Tim.
not only studies, meta studies. I've given you multiple meta studies on this. I've given you a surplus of information on this topic.
Make up six times more likely to have autism, according to NPR.org. So yeah. I think you're trying to genocide autistic people.
What's the...
Oh, because more people who are autistic, you know, like there, you know, happen to be more like, you know, predominantly like, you know, trans people that happen to be autistic. Thus, that means autistic people are being genocided or some shit. This is what you're doing, Tim Pool. You're the one who's trying to do the genocide, you fascist fucking you disgusting fuck. Like, are you serious? Like, you piece of trash? Like, I mean, this deflection of like, oh, you know, we're not the one doing the genocide. We're not the one doing that. No. It's not us. It's actually you. You know, it's like this whole fucking weird narrative, dude, of just sheer fucking projection. This is how you know that Tim Pool is an advocate and pushing for, you know, genocide and shit when it comes to this idea, because, you know, he's just literally deflecting it endlessly to, you know, like the same people he wants to fucking victimize. Fucking shithead.
That's what I asked you.
6 times, 60%?
That's not how that works. That's not. You don't.
600. Sorry.
No, that's not how that works.
You're saying what percent of them?
What percentage of trans people happen to be autistic lesbians? That was your claim. That a large portion are. I'm saying I don't know any statistics on that. I've never heard that before.
So the first thing I pulled up was that transgender and non-binary people are up to 6 times more likely to have autism, right?
Right, but that's not answering the question yet.
And your question is what portion of... let me Google it again.
I need another Google search.
Because I thought that was sufficient in you know... 24%.
So that's not the majority, even if that stat is true.
6 times more common. 24%.
That's still not the majority, even if that statistic was true.
Yeah, no, the majority is...
So 24% of trans people are autistic according to that data, and 6% of...
So what I think is...
Like 24% is not the majority. It's not even a third. That's barely a quarter. That's like 1% away from being a quarter. So I guess to round it up, it's about like a quarter, you know, of like, you know, trans people. So that's not a majority, like, at all. I mean, you're halfway to being like, well, to the halfway mark of being to the majority. Like, it's not like at all. That's, I mean, it's like there is a little correlation to it, you know, in a sense. That's what the, you know, that result would be saying. There's at least a soft correlation, but that doesn't mean that like the majority of people are trans are, because it literally says it isn't.
That there are people who hate people with Down syndrome, and in Iceland they've actually publicly avowed or praised their eradication of people with Down syndrome. I think that...
Oh my god, what a way to dishonestly frame that shit. That's literally not what they do. Like, they have a policy where it's just like, yeah, like, you know, if we, you know, when it comes to, like, I was talking about this with the whole abortion thing from earlier. Like, you know, Iceland has a policy, and, you know, where it's like, hey, you know, we have the ability to, you know, like, look into the genome of your, you know, child in the womb at a very early period of the pregnancy. And if it comes to it that they have, like, Down syndrome or some other very severe genetic disorder of some sort, then, yeah, there's an abortion. That's not, like, some eradication of people with Down syndrome. Like, people who are alive in Iceland who happen to have Down syndrome aren't killed. Like, they still live, you know, a healthy, you know, or at least a relatively healthy, you know, quality of life and shit, because it's Iceland. Like, they don't have, like, some hardcore, like, weird-ass eugenics program or something. I mean, it's just literally based off the fact that they have a very small population, and because of demographically they're very homogenous and shit. With that small population, there's a high likelihood for various different genetic mutations and disorders and shit, included but not limited to things like Down syndrome and shit. And as a way to mitigate those problems and those issues, you know, they have policies, you know, to try to weed those type of things out so their population doesn't suffer from things like that. And they have also open policy about, you know, letting people, you know, live and move to their country and shit, and be there as citizens if, you know, they happen to have a partner who's Icelandic that lives there already and is willing to, like, raise a family and shit like that too. So, like, Iceland has a, you know, like, you know, a policy about, like, you know, if anything, more about trying to healthily diversify their gene pool more than anything. Like, that's really, you know, like, where a lot of it stems from. It's not like this eradication of people with Down syndrome or some shit. That's just fucking stupid.
Horrifying. Like, you can...
Horrifying? No, it's not. You're horrifyingly dishonest, Tim. Fucking reverse Oracle, dude.
You can be okay with it. I'm not saying you're not allowed to believe that, right? You don't have to have the same...
Dude, like, even it's just like... I don't even think that's what they even do. Like, I don't even think you honestly even phrase that, so I don't even know if I can even answer that.
I just think it's wrong to genocide, like, people with Down syndrome. You know what I mean?
You've completely derailed this conversation. You're assuming that I throw...
Dude, he really did. Temple just, like, obliterated the entire conversation into, like... So, Iceland genocide Down syndrome people, good or bad? Like, what the fuck? What, dude? He just, like, just Molotov cocktailed and Tsar bombed and just, like, Agent Orange the entire conversation all at the same time. Like, oh my god. What the fuck?
People having abortions for people who have Down syndrome. When we're talking about...
I'm not saying you do. I'm saying in Iceland... They've
what
stated
does this have to do with trans rights?
Right, so we see a higher rate of autistic people. Autism.
It's like, right, yeah, so here's how it happens. Well, let me connect 8,000 dots and make it look like a spider web of nonsense and then show to you how it does.
You said it makes it the majority. It does not, even based on the source you pulled up. Okay.
24%.
Okay.
I still believe that this is very much an effort. I think the left is intent on genociding trans people.
Dude, what is this fucking weird, like, delusional, insane reality that he lives in, bro? What is this weird delusion and gaslighting of bullshit that he's trying to make people believe in, dude? Like, what in the fuck is this? Like, I mean, what is this? Like, how in the flying goat fuck, you know, like, does this even make sense, dude? Like, oh my god, another moment of needing to take a moment of respite, like, oh my god, fuck, cause holy shit, bro. Man, I really just cannot fucking fathom this motherfucker, bro. I just really can't. Like, just utterly fucking dishonest. Will always literally use anything and everything under the fucking sun to do a gotcha. Will fucking do anything and everything under the sun to try to, like, you know, weave and push the narrative of the conversation into his fucking favor, even if it has to, like, literally demolish the entire fucking conversation from the start. Like, man, this motherfucker, dude. Like, I really forgot how utterly motherfucking insufferable Temple is. I really forgot how goddamn insufferable this guy was. Like, holy shit. Like, honestly, like, this little chunk here has just been a gauntlet, honestly. This has been my own little solo gauntlet, frankly, you know, when it comes to this dude. Because, holy shit, bro. This guy is a fucking cretin, just like, you know, in a, like, a fucking reactionary, emotional fucking man-child. You know, has weird, like, fantasizations about, like, you know, the sexual fertility and pleasure about trans people and teenagers and shit. This guy's a fucking freaking degenerate, bro. I just want to rip that fucking goddamn beanie off his head and just shove it in his fucking mouth and then just, like, I mean, I don't even know. I don't even know if I can finish the rest of that, but, you know, it's just like, but he needs to eat that beanie. Like, I want him to, like, you know, just be forcefully fed that beanie. I want to see him eat that beanie in its totality.
Removing their ability to reproduce.
How are they removing their ability
By
to
cutting
reproduce,
off
Tim?
their testicles and removing their
That is
uteruses.
not the only operation that is done. There are trans people who maintain their same genitals as before. Not
Right.
everyone has to decide to get bottom surgery. That's a choice they should make.
And cross-sex hormones do have a high rate of causing sterilization.
It can't.
Like, you do realize when it comes to, like, cross-hormonal therapy and shit with HRT, usually those things are temporary. Like, if, you know, someone decides to stop, you know, taking that, then eventually over time, you know, the hormones, you know, rebalance themselves in a sense to where, you know, it's akin towards, like, the biological sex that you still have. Like, so if there's trans people that still have, you know, their, you know, like, bottom genitalia and shit, and they decide, you know, for a time to stop taking HRT because maybe they want a child for whatever fucking reason, you know, then that's their decision. And, you know, it's broadly more or less a temporary sterilization where eventually it rebalances itself out. I mean, so how's that even fucking make sense? Like, I mean, it's basically only a sterilization for as long as you're doing that. Like, I mean, it's the same thing for birth control. I mean, that is like a temporary sterilization, you know, like, but, you know, even though you're not actually sterile, I mean, it just, like, you know, kind of, you know, puts a temporary, you know, element of sterilization on you until you stop taking that type of, you know, medication and shit, or stop taking that treatment. So it's not even a permanent sterilization, if it could even really necessarily qualify for that. I mean, I think, you know, there's, like, you know, permanent sterilization, but I think, you know, for, like, you know, being temporarily sterilized, I mean, I don't know if that's what it is called, temporary sterilization, but I'm sure there's more of a specific term for it. But still, either way, it's just like, I mean, that is very much a thing. Like, you know, sterilization isn't always a permanent thing.
Doesn't always. And you
Also,
can be
like,
trans and not get any operations at all.
So I think you are. So, like, I'm in favor of making sure these people can always have families and have kids, right?
Why? Like, that's none of your fucking business, you weirdo, you fucking creep. That's none of your goddamn business whether someone like me or someone who's trans or anybody else besides, you know, has a family or not and has children, you fucking goddamn creep. You utter fucking weird degenerate filth. I don't, like, keep your fucking thoughts and brains, you know, out of, like, the idea inference that everyone else around you needs to have families and children, you fucking freak. You creep. Like, oh my god.
Your position, whether you support the moral issue of or not, results in many of them being sterile. For instance, the reason I use Jazz Jennings as an example, because this is a person on...
And you know what? And if they're sterile then and they really badly want children, it's called adoption. Like, you were talking about the whole abortion thing earlier, Tim, about, oh, well, the mom can, you know, or the pregnant woman could, you know, just have the baby out for adoption instead of killing and slaughtering and ripping the baby apart. Like, I mean, so like, when it comes to that shit, like, I know, if you want to solve the whole, like, you know, abortion thing and shit, why don't we have a program that, like, you know, people who are trans or sterile that want to have children can have an adoption program, or, like, an adoption subsidy grant program or some shit, to where they get, you know, maybe some, like, extra benefits or a tax subsidy or something like that, that adopt children, you know, so... You know, a lot of women who probably can't get abortion because of your bullshit laws, you know, can at least, you know, have, you know, those children go to, you know, a program where they actually can go to parents that want to raise those children. Like, you know, when it comes to, like, you know, being trans or sterile, whatever the fuck. You know, because there's plenty of, you know, parents and plenty of people that want to be children, or want to be parents and have children that can't. You know, so... You know, all in all, why not, like, enforce and push, you know, for those type of programs? Oh, wait, Tim, you don't actually advocate for those type of ideas. Because you are a control freak and want everyone to fucking adhere to your weird fucking moral worldview, you fascist pig.
with millions of followers, who wrote a book and told kids about this journey. The journey that Jazz Jennings
Which,
went
by
on.
the way, also, like, I think those policies, that type of idea and programs should be in place anyway, and also the right to have an abortion should also be there too. And whether someone wants to sterilize themselves or not, or if the fucking gender-affirming care sterilizes them or not, yeah, who gives a shit? That's none of your business.
Resulted in a complete inability to have a family and have children. I think that's terrifying because Jazz was not old enough to understand the implications of that. Jazz will never have a family. Jazz, the genetics of Jazz Jennings is over. That is one of the most horrifying things to me as a human being.
Why? Why? What is this fucking creepy fixation about this shit? Like, I don't get it with some people, dude. Like, what is this hyperfixation? Like, the idea of Jazz Jennings, this trans woman, the fact that her genetic lineage ends with her is just a horrifying thought to me. Why? Why do you care, you creepy lemming? You lemming with a beanie? Like, I mean, what the fuck? Like, this is so creepy. Like, this is starting to get creepier than, like, his weird inference about, like, her sexual pleasure and, like, and all this other weird shit he was saying a minute ago.
Because I think genocide is wrong, right?
Why should it?
That's not a genocide. Like, so what about, people that decide they just simply don't want to have kids despite being fertile? People like me. Like, I, personally don't want to have kids, really, ever in my life, at least as it stands right now. So how in the, so what, am I committing genocide for doing that? No, I'm not. So how in the fuck are, trans people making, like, a decision about their, like, gender-affirming care? How is that a fucking genocide? Came a good time. Oh my god, dude, this is fucking pain, dude. I am convinced that DFAT Fried needs to do a Tim Pool gauntlet. This is pain. This is fucking hell, bro. Like, the only thing that's keeping me going is the fact that Vance is like a fucking king over this, dude. He is holding his own and really doing a great job, when it comes to, like, dealing with this. Because holy fuck, the shit that Tim Pool is saying right now is insane. This shit is ridiculous. It's breaking my brain. I was saving these for later tonight, but I decided, I can't handle it. I want at least one of these and shit, like, cause fuck. Like, this is pissing me off.
Ability to be or have reproductive function. Why should that concern you?
For the same reason the Uyghur Muslims in China concern me.
What? Wait, where did that come from? He never mentioned this once yet, and now he just brought it up out of nowhere. Wait, how did the Uyghurs get involved in the trans topic? Like, what? I am confused beyond recognition. I don't even, like, oh my god. I think my brain's starting to really malfunction. Holy fuck.
China, for instance,
But what if she never wants to have kids?
That's something you determine for yourself later in life.
Exactly.
after
So why
going
is it
through
our business?
Because it's been
Oh my god. Thank you, Lance. Oh my god.
moved before Jazz could have the ability
But
to
again,
conclusion.
that has nothing to do with us. She could decide to never want to have kids, and that's fine and valid.
Right, so my morals would be that a society protects the children.
Fuck your morals, Tim Pool. How about that? I literally would take your morals and use it for toilet paper to rub my diabetic shit with. How about that, you little piss? You fucking pissant. Plan on Cinco de Mayo tomorrow. And it's May 4th today. And actually, technically, the anniversary to the Haymarket Affair today as well. I forgot that May Day was 3 days ago, too, so I'm like, damn. I didn't at least, do a little, like, toast to workers that day, so. Hey, May 4th works, too, because of the Haymarket Affair, so, speaking of which, to toast the idea of maybe the Haymarket Affair happening directly on fucking Tim Pool's face.
You can't know until you're at least 24 or older when your brain is fully developed, which is why we don't allow people to drink and do certain drugs, whatever drugs are legal, until they're 21. So,
hey, Tim, it doesn't necessarily stop teenagers from doing that, though. And that doesn't make it inherently a good thing when it comes to the whole drug and alcohol thing, but, like, if someone has made the decision to legitimately, go for a decision that, impacts their body in that way, then, it is their choice. And if they are younger, at least when it comes to certain decisions, yeah, like having at least broader adult supervision, or maybe them, prohibited from having that choice until they're older, is a good thing, because they're still kids. But when it comes to their gender identity, that is something that, is not needed to be prohibited, or I mean, the only real adult supervision is basically just like between them and their fucking doctor and therapist, and to a lesser extent their parents. You know, at least, you know, when it comes to, you know, them, like, raising them as a child, obviously. You know, but when it comes to, like, you know, like, the specifics of their medical treatment shit, like, there ain't really exactly much their parents could do besides just, you know, accept them, you know, when it comes to their gender identity, and help them along with that, you know, and being accepted. You know, like, because that's at least, you know, the least they can do. I love how this dog really loves locking himself in the laundry room. Gonna make a mango cake, possibly with coconut frosting. Dude, you gotta do coconut frosting. That just sounds fire as fuck. I'm just gonna put that out there right now.
Me, I'm like, if you can't drink till you're 21, if there's like, you can't smoke till you're 18, this society absolutely recognizes you can't drive till a certain age. That the reason that the driving age is what it is, one of the arguments made, I think it was in Illinois, is that risk taking is a lot higher in youth than it is in older people. So the argument,
yeah, I think while maybe that is broadly true, that doesn't stop old people from not giving a fuck and being dangerous on the road. Maybe not because they're risk takers, but because they're just a liability. You know, so, like, I mean, I would like to, you know, see what the extra nuances of that data would be, because I'm sure, like, the broader dangers of old people versus young people being on the road is probably, like, negligible, due to the virtue that, like, you know, younger people, yeah, maybe broadly are probably more likely to do risk-taking, you know, actions and shit, but older people are probably just more of a liability and reckless, and in a sense of that they're just not as aware and safe on, you know, when it comes to what they're doing, because they're getting older and senile and having cognitive decline. So, like, I mean, I'm pretty sure things like that would vary a little bit.
once you're past 16,
I'd like to contend that. I mean, yeah, I mean, honestly, like, no matter what Tim Pool says when it comes to any claim that he says, I guarantee you it can always have some form of contention, because there is.
driver's ed.
Because I think, because both think they know better. Well, that's true, yeah. Like, old and young people, like, no matter what, everyone, I feel like to this extent, anyone who's driving around thinks they know better, but, I mean, the difference is the people that, you know, never claim that, oh, I know better, you know, actually probably do, because they don't actually fucking, you know, end up being a liability and have to boast and project the fact that they're safe. You know, and then you got the people who are like, oh yeah, I know better because all these other people, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, but you go like 15 miles over the speed limit and, like, you know, skipped a red light back there and nearly got in a wreck. So yeah, I'm not gonna believe you. You know, so yeah, it's like, I feel like, you know, with that, you know, there's definitely a lot of tendency of just, like, a lot of people think they do know better, but really honestly don't, because a lot of people are just legit stupid on the road. That's my contingency. I think most people who drive are not, you know, really probably shouldn't be, because there's just, I can't tell you how many times just here in my little area, how many times I've seen people just are just being utterly stupid on the road. Not, like, having their lights on when it's dark out, fucking just, like, you know, not paying attention to, like, you know, crosswalks or anything, and nearly running people over and shit, including me. You know, all this other bullshit. Like, people, you know, especially just don't pay attention, and also are just, you know, really, frankly, just careless and reckless. Like, I mean, there really needs to be a lot more restrictions to driving in general, honestly, in my opinion. But that's just because my contingency is most people are stupid. It really has nothing to do with age or if they know better or not. It's just, I mean, if anything, there's just kind of a lack of restriction, you know, when it comes to getting licenses, you know. So, all in all, you know, because of that, you know, there's more of a sense of danger when it comes to, you know, driving and shit, because there's a lot of people that either really need to be taught better how to drive or really probably shouldn't. You're a crosswalk survivors, man, for real. Thank fuck I have not actually been hit before. I've been tapped. I've, like, you know, when I've been, you know, riding my bike before, I've had people who have not been paying attention tap, like, my wheel, and not, I won't crash, but I will, like, almost lose control, but I'm going at least slow enough to where I can kind of stop really quick, you know, and be like, oh shit, you know, kind of like gain control and rebalance myself and look back and be like, what the fuck, you know, to the person driving off. Be like, really? You tapped me and I almost, like, got hit. Like, did you not hear that? Like, you dumbass.
Helps control for the higher risk taking of younger people. So we set an age limit. For someone who's 10 years old to be put on Lupron and then cross-sex hormones, they will never develop the ability to reproduce. So in the instance of...
I didn't know that, Tim.
Jazz, again.
Because, you know, when it comes to HRT, it works the other way, too. So if someone before going through puberty decides to take HRT to not go through puberty, and then decide to stop, and take a different hormone therapy to kind of catch up for the lack of what was naturally developed or whatever the fuck, that can happen, and that doesn't make you sterile.
Famous individual who's very influential with millions of followers, there was never the ability to reproduce developed, which caused complications. Complications aside, that's Jazz's personal business. But the
as it should be, so that it should be a full stop, right, Tim?
puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones did sterilize Jazz. 100% sterilization. Jazz was not old enough to understand the implications of that. So I have concerns about having children, whether they choose to or their parents choose to. I think that's genocide.
I can kind of see your argument, because if a kid was straight...
I could kind of see your argument. Oh my gosh, shut up, nerd. Like, what, are the zanies starting to wear off, buddy?
Yeah, just a kid. And they were like a 12-year-old girl. And she was like, I don't want to have babies when I'm older. And the mom was like, okay, then we'll sterilize you right now. And they went and had the kid had a hysterectomy. I think that's illegal. I don't know, but I would imagine society needs to protect little kids from crazy parents that are like, just because a 12-year-old says they don't have babies later in life. So the fact that...
What? Did he just make up some random Of course he did. He just made up some random bullshit. When does that ever happen? You get a crazy parent, so to speak. It's like, oh, my 12-year-old doesn't want to ever have children, so let's get this kid a hysterectomy. That literally has never happened once, ever.
Is sterilizing as a byproduct, I think should be taken into account with the whole procedure.
I think that's still something that comes down to the individual and what they choose to do. And if someone is like, I want to have gender-affirming care...
And the thing is, even if this whole quote-unquote sterilization thing, really is something that's quote-unquote important, that's between that individual and their doctor. It's not for some weird fucking nerdy creep, that's probably into lolly porn or some shit in the fucking, basement or whatever the fuck. It ain't for them to decide. It's up, to the individual patient and their doctor. So, how about, I don't know, Vicav?
Then why is that my business? It's the same thing with someone who wants to have a surgery that can have other complications. That's not my business. If someone had an appendix inflamed and they had to have their appendix out, there are potential complications that come from that, but I'm not going to prevent them from having health care and saying that you can't have a right to get your appendix out, because every major medical association in the United States agrees that that is the best way to treat appendicitis. And in this case, when we're talking about trans people, every single medical association in the United States agrees on gender-affirming care.
Then you know what they should do?
Every single one.
You know what they should do? They should produce one single randomized controlled trial for puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones.
Haven't they already have done this a couple of times, bro?
Show that it's safe and...
But, why does his voice sound familiar? Honestly, now that I'm really starting to kind of, look at this fucker, he's starting to really sound familiar a little bit. Is he one of those animator dudes? Is he part of PragerU or something? Now that I think about it, this guy kind of seems familiar. This weird fucking Irish fuck, this Seamus motherfucker.
But they have not. So it's not healthcare, it's experimentation. You talk about giving kids...
What? Oh my god, okay. Does this guy not understand how maybe some medical procedures start? Sometimes when it comes to things that we haven't, done yet before, especially when it comes to a lot of medical procedures, they kind of inherently, when you first start, doing them, when it comes to dealing with, a surgery, the first open heart surgery, was kind of an experiment to see if it would work, obviously, right? When it comes to treating, heart surgeries and shit. It's the very first one, there was, no one really knew what the results were going to be, but obviously it was a success, and now it's a main, normal procedure that, is in the medical industry and shit, to help treat with, heart, issues and stuff. So, but obviously, somewhere down the line, someone had to kind of, experiment to start that shit. That doesn't make it, a bad thing. These motherfuckers, think that, doing quote-unquote medical experiments is, inherently, some bad thing. It's doing, some, Dr. Mengele shit or some shit. Which people like Jordan Peterson, at least, fucking boast. I remember Jordan Peterson literally thought, oh, when Elliot Page had, a Dr. Mengele, like, Nazi experimental, surgery done to her and whatever the fuck. Like, he went on a whole tirade about it. So, like, these motherfuckers do kind of think that. Just on the virtue that, like, yeah, that we're still kind of, like, advancing, development and transforming care and surgeries. Yeah, every now and then there's going to be experiments done occasionally to see, what might be the best outcome to doing affirming care. Like, I mean, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. The thing is, like, every now and then there might be, like, some, like, consequential results, from things like this, but that's not inherently a bad thing. That's why it's between the patient and the doctor to, at the end of the day, ultimately make those fucking decisions. Because those risks are considered when they have those discussions. It's not just like, oh, well, we'll see what happens. Like, the doctor's like, we'll let them know, be like, hey, understand that, there may be complications, here's what may happen, and there might be some unknown variables, but here's, like, what is very likely what may happen, and blah, 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 do you still want to go with it? And they'll either say, yes, let's do it, or maybe let me reconsider it a little bit, or let me think about it, or just no. And again, that's their decision.
That's not healthcare. Healthcare repairs.
Yeah, it is. Oh my god. Like, I mean, what I was describing is exactly, part of, like, healthcare and shit, because it's a part of, like, how we advance healthcare, because every now and then, as we advance it more, we end up expanding our abilities to potentially, try different healthcare treatments, that could potentially work, and if there's viability towards it, then we, expand on that type of shit, and if not, then we don't. That's how, like... How do you think, like, these surgeries have advanced so much in human history? Like, we went from, like, using leeches and, like, humors and all this other shit and, like, bloodletting to, like, doing insane, crazy fucking surgeries and doing, like, limb transplants and shit like that. I mean, it's like, we've gone pretty far, but, at the end of the day, a lot of it is due to, like, various different research and development, and with that includes, every now and then, experiments. That's still broadly healthcare. Like, huh?
Is broken. You use the example of somebody's appendix not functioning properly.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, yes. So what you have to do in that instance is intervene so that the body can function as it is intended to. Destroying somebody's ability to procreate is demolishing the organ that you're claiming to treat, right? You're destroying the biological function rather than helping to improve it. That's not healthcare.
I want to pull this up too. It's from University of Utah, because I was reading about this recently. It goes on to mention that hormone replacement therapy can make you sterile. And that it's important.
It can.
It's important to
Sure. I mean, the idea, like, it can make you sterile. It's like, yeah, it can, but it also depends on how far you go with it. Adoption, Tim.
Your sperm, it says, if you're trans feminine. Otherwise, the hormone therapy may make it impossible for you to have biological children. If someone is put on puberty blockers and then cross-sex hormones as a child, they will never have the ability to preserve their reproductive functions.
So if you're put on puberty blockers, they are reversible. You can stop being on puberty blockers, and you can still maintain a lot of things that you were worried about being taken away. When it comes to Jazz Jennings specifically, she's actually made statements about this because, I was just looking this up. Jazz Jennings says, I don't regret my transition at all. When I was 11, I started male puberty and I was put on hormone blockers. Those blockers saved my life and continue to save the lives of so many youth out there. If I was forced to go through male puberty, it would have been devastating. Even more so, taking estrogen through hormone replacement allowed my body to develop how I wanted. I blossomed into a young woman, eventually got bottom surgery, and now living as a proud woman today. What does that have to do with me? Why would I want to take that away from someone else?
I mean, not just that, but also, like, what's so wrong with that? That sounds great. Like, good for her. That's awesome. I mean, that's how dare she feel happy for expressing herself how she wants to and being able to, like, have the ability to truly express herself, and be able to get, like, the healthcare needs that she needs, to, like, achieve that. Like, what, like, how is that so horrible? And also, like, nothing about that says anything about, potentially wanting kids to raise in a family. And even if she did, like, again, it's adoption. Like, there's... Yeah, like, I mean, also, there's, like, in vitro fertilization, there's all sorts of, like, surrogate mothers, there's all sorts of different ways that, someone could, pass the genes down, or have a child. It's not just, like, that one person directly has to fuck someone else.
Did she
We're
make that
talking-
statement?
She made this on March 31st.
She made it recently because that video came out where the mom said she was going to force the dilator.
And then Matt
into
Walsh went hard, and Jazz
Yeah.
was like, "Hey, Matt," and then
So,
Matt was like, "Sorry, Jazz."
There's a lot of questions around the morality of this. The left likes to defer instantly to purity arguments, which I find fascinating, considering the left typically has a low purity rating when it comes to moral foundations. For example,
A low moral purity rating? There ain't no guy. Wait, who? What does that even mean? Like, there's like some sort of like a rating system based on like how like morality is. Like, what?
when you said it's really weird talking about someone's genitals, it's a purity argument, which the left typically never makes. That's why I said it's a very weird thing for you to do. Approaching
What?
this from an academic perspective, we would make a few arguments about whether or not a person can truly understand they've lost the ability to reproduce if they've never had it in the first place. The psychological and the philosophical implications of stripping away a person's ability to reproduce before they were old enough to even know what that was. So, for example,
Why does it matter? Like, it just goes down to, you know, Lance saying at the end of the day, like, why is it my business? And why should it be yours or anyone else's besides? Like, what is this shit, dude? This is, like, why do you think Lance was initially saying that this is weird? Because it is. Like, there is such a weird implicit fixation about, like, you know, sexual reproduction and fertility of somebody being trans or not that is just inherently fucking weird and creepy. Like, why does it fucking matter? Like, I mean, this is just kind of outside of, like, you know, really, you know, broadly, you know, of, like, the whole, like, you know, anti-trans thing, in my opinion. Like, this is kind of like an extra level of, like, you know, weird shit. Where it's, like, the whole, like, you know, parenthood thing and, you know, family raising, you know, philosophy gets heavily interwoven in this type of shit. It's just really creepishly fascistic. Because, well, it is. Not to continue bloodlines, but the chain of ideas for they would give you to voiceless, they say. Yeah. I like that.
if you take an adult human, female or male, and remove their genitals by force, they will...
And if anything, fundamentally, I actually, you know, like, as a broader philosophy, care more about that idea more so than anything. Like, I mean, you know, the chain of ideas, so to speak, more so than, like, the, you know, chain of the bloodline, you know, is far more important, I would say. Because at the end of the day, like, bloodlines are just that. They're just bloodlines. I mean, they're just kind of arbitrary. They're I mean, it's just kind of a means to end of, like, how people live and exist. I mean, like, you know, we don't get to choose, like, our families and, you know, our, you know, siblings and this and that and shit. You know, but, like, at the end of the day, you know, it's, like, really, overall, it's just kind of how it is. I mean, it doesn't matter.
very, very upset.
And it's not a bad thing, and it's, you know, it's so either, but by the way, you know, like, it really, because it's just is, you know, it's just kind of an observation of just, you know, of the whole thing. So, like, really the ideas that get passed down, you know, like, when it comes to, you know, whether, like, you know, like, the parents, you know, pass down, like, you know, these ideas and shit, or, like, you know, these people grow up and, you know, kind of learn these ideas, you know, to me, broadly, you know, that ends up being a little bit more important.
Extremely upset. In fact, it's a form of torture in a lot of countries. It's meant to terrify. If you took away their ability to feel sexual satisfaction, it's a form of torture. In fact, female circumcision is horrifying to the world, and it actually was huge controversies up in Dearborn, Michigan, because what it would do is it would result in women who are as adults could not feel anything when and they were effectively used as like objects for their husbands. So in making an academic argument, we would
Which
say...
a lot of Christian nationalists and people like you want to do by revoking the bodily autonomy of women by being against abortion and forced birther. And also, like, having this weird thing about, you know, controlling people's bodies overall and their fucking choice to healthcare and shit, you freak. You seem to be someone who wants to advocate that more so than anything else.
Jazz Jennings does not understand, and that's fine if Jazz is happy. That's great. The argument into the greater is Jazz will never have kids. Fact statement. I think it's wrong to take away that.
You don't know that. She can always adopt children. Like, I mean, there's, you know, more than one way to have a child there, you dipshit.
Who doesn't understand what it
What
is.
if they don't want kids?
They will decide that when they're an adult and have assessed the circumstances. But Jazz can't actually feel any of this. Jazz can't...
How do you know that? Like, what, do you have, like, some telepathic connection to her? Is that why you're so fixated about it? You just have, like, some sort of secret connection to her thoughts that we just don't know about, Tim? Like, is that what's going on?
feel This was a study. There's a doctor came out, did a Zoom video on it, specifically, I think, referring to jazz. That jazz.
Oh, a Zoom video, because that is totally scientifically peer reviewed. Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's some scientifically reviewed shit right there. The best friend I ever saw was on Reddit. Someone told a friend, "Oh yeah, well you're adopted." To which chat replied, "Well, yeah, my parents chose me. Yours got stuck with you. Damn, yours got stuck with you. Burn. Damn, that is a good roast."
Experience any adult satisfaction or desire.
Yeah, and also like the idea of being adopted, that shouldn't be a stigma. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, I mean, if anything, it's, you know, actually it should be kind of endearing. Because, like, I mean, the idea that you had parents, you know, that while, yeah, they're not biological, at least, you know, we're willing to want to raise you and care about you. Like, I mean, that should be seen as a good thing. I mean, you know, like, the idea of, like, maybe wanting to see, like, who your biological parents are and stuff, I mean, in a way, that's just as valid, too, in my opinion, you know, but if so, you know, but that's kind of up to, for that person to decide, you know, like, I mean, and to some extent, I mean, I kind of relate to a slight degree, because my dad is, adopted, so I don't know much about his biological side of his, background, you know, but, you know, I'd be kind of curious to find out about that, but at the same time, you know, him being adopted too, I mean, is just as fine, and if anything, it's just as cool, because, you know, with the family tree that, well, not bloodline-wise, you know, that I'm still, you know, for all intents and purposes connected to, there's some pretty cool shit, you know, and I think it's like, damn, that's pretty dope.
And so the question then becomes, why did Jazz get bottom surgery? My question, why do you think Jazz got bottom surgery?
Oh, I don't have to ask that. She explained why. She said that she's satisfied with it. That should be the extent of it.
What did she say?
He just said it. Like, he said it, you know, with her tweet. Because, like, you know, going for male puberty would have been devastating, probably caused her to, you know, be heavily suicidal. And, you know, it was very satisfying, and it was happy to go for it. Like, that's basically the main culmination of the reason. Like, there has to be, like, some sort of, like, essay and shit. You might have secret rich grandparents. I mean, they're not, my granddad on my dad's side isn't necessarily, like, secretly rich. I won't say he's outright rich, but he's certainly well off.
I don't regret my transition at all. When I was 11, I started male puberty and I was put on hormone blockers. Those blockers saved my life and continue to save the lives of so many youth out there. If I was forced to go through male puberty, it would have been devastating. Even more, taking estrogen through hormone replacement allowed my body to develop how I wanted. I blossomed into a young woman, eventually got bottom surgery, and I'm living as a proud woman today. Yes, I do struggle with mental health and always have, but it's not because I transitioned, and it's unfortunately something many LGBTQ plus people face. Why? Because that has a lot to do with hate and a lack of acceptance that we receive in society, like I was saying before. So to all of you speaking about our mental health for views and calling our families abusers for supporting our transition, you are the only abusers.
So what?
Damn true. I mean, Jazz Jennings, you know, seems to have a pretty accurate assessment of the whole situation, because yeah, there's nothing inaccurate about what she just said. That one day you hear the caw of an owl and it drops a scroll at your window telling you your birthright. Oh my god, dude, that'd be pretty legit. I'd be like, all right, well, fuck, quit my job, fuck that shit.
Purpose of the bottom surgery?
It affirmed her gender. It affirmed her gender.
What does that mean, affirmed the gender?
So you have...
Are you kidding me, Tim? Are you that stupid, Temple? You cannot be that stupid, bro. Like, what does it mean to affirm gender? Like, you know, be comfortable with your gender identity. Like, that. Like, I mean, like, because, like, it doesn't really need much of an explanation. That's very much just what it means. It's like, you don't necessarily feel comfortable with your current expression of the gender identity you don't necessarily identify with, so you want to change it to the one that you express the most with and feel most comfortable with, you know, when it comes to your identity, which means you are affirming, you know, towards, you know, gender identity that you want to express. Like, like, I mean, is it really that hard to understand, Temple? Are you that fucking dumb? Or are you just plain stupid to be a dishonest hack, you know, to get, like, every gotcha under the sun that you could possibly get for clips and views, you fuck?
A gender identity that we want to express in one way or another. And with hers, she affirmed her gender through the process of getting bottom surgery to look more and feel more like a woman.
Why do you think Jazz stopped dilating?
I don't know.
And who cares?
Probably because it hurt.
But
what?
if this
was probably hurt or something. Okay, what, dude? What a weirdo.
Part of affirmation, you'd think Jazz would maintain it.
That's not for me to decide. That's someone else's own identity. And
So-
again, that's why it's weird to me to try and impose this upon someone else. Like, to try and say, like, you're disgusted at the fact that she can't have kids or something like that. It's like, I don't know if she ever wants kids because I don't know who she is, but that's a decision for her to make between her and her doctor. Has nothing to do with me.
Why would any trans child get a bottom surgery?
Again,
Children can't. Like, you have to be 18 and up, aka an adult, you know, in order to full on do that.
to affirm their gender
So what?
as part of gender affirming care.
Why
And
would
children don't get bottom surgery, by the way. It's usually over 18.
Well, Jazz was
was a minor.
17.
Yeah,
and
Right,
Jazz was
and
a
so
minor.
there are exceptions,
And
yes,
that-
but
that-
average
that,
age is over
Kim
18.
Petras was
Like
also a teenager.
Boston's Children's Hospital has never done that on anyone under the age of 18. The average age for bottom surgery is over 18 years old,
So
overwhelmingly.
why would I just
I'm
don't
pretty sure it's predominantly between like 18 and 19.
understand why the it's not penile inversion vaginoplasty. I don't know what it's called because Jazz didn't have a penis. What's the purpose of making
Why does he care so much about this?
the whole?
Like, I don't want to like have to like infer some weird imagination about who this person looks like, you know, with Jazz Jennings and being like, oh yeah, does this person have a dick or not? Like, Tim, you're the only one that is making me think about this. You fucking degenerate freak. Like, oh my god.
What's the purpose of that?
The operation is because it gives them, it affirms their gender through the process of having a similar genitalia to a cis woman.
So what's the purpose of it?
I just explained it.
It to make them feel comfortable with their gender identity so they can, you know, be happy with themselves. Like, oh my god. I mean, dude, he's just plain dumb. He cannot be this fucking stupid. Because he knows the fucking answers to this shit. He's purposely being stupid about it.
So the purpose of it is just feeling, just emotion.
Is that inherently a bad thing?
Purpose of it is part of affirming who.
Like, I mean, if I emotionally feel about a certain way about my body, like, okay, here, you know, I will even, you know, obviously Tim will never hear it, but like, you know, maybe from like a right-wing perspective, maybe they might be able to understand it. Like, when it comes to a dude who might not be so, like, quote, masculine or whatever the fuck and wants to be more masculine, like, you want to know how they would do a more gender-affirming care to doing that? They would work out and, like, lift and do things like that, where they will, you know, try to, you know, have more masculine-ass features, like, you know, trying to, like, you know, have more muscle tone and stuff like that, right? Like, I mean, and maybe have, like, you know, like, and do different regiments and stuff, you know, to try to, like, you know, like, have more of, like, you know, broadly masculine expressive features and shit to kind of feel more, you know, happy about, like, you know, how they identify with if their broader gender expression. You know, like, because, I mean, cis people can feel, you know, these type of things too. Like, when it comes to not necessarily feeling comfortable with their broader gender identity. I mean, it's not necessarily inherently like some gender dysphoric thing or a trans thing or anything like that. It's just like, hey, you know, there's parts about my body I don't totally feel comfortable with and wish to change a little bit. And sometimes, you know, it can be just some basic kind of like, you know, hey, just all you have to do is like, you know, do this or that, or maybe like, you know, work out a bit, or, you know, do, you know, whatever the fuck. Maybe, you know, for a lot of, you know, things like that, usually it's just kind of like smaller things. You know, but for, you know, for whether you're trans or like, you know, for more extensive stuff, there's sometimes surgeries or like different other medical procedures get involved. And, you know, and that's where things get more extensive. But at the end of the day, you know, it's all because, you know, yeah, I feel a certain way, I'd rather feel this way, and I want to change that. Like, that is, like, and thus go for the process of doing so. Like, Tim, I know you're not that retarded, but, you know, quit pretending to be this way. Just because your entire Temple, just because your entire audience is retarded, you know, at least you can do is at least, you know, just give the basic foundation of this type of shit, even if you don't like it. Even if you're still gonna push your stupid bullshit narrative, at least don't play this fucking dumb. I mean, come on.
A surgery that makes them look and feel more
I mean, who am I kidding? Of course it's gonna play this dumb.
like a version of a woman that they want to be. You don't have to. There's not a template. That's not the only version a woman can be. There's other versions of how a woman can be and look, but that's the version that she wanted.
So what I'm trying to understand is why create a permanent wound for the purpose of a man to have sex?
A permanent wound? Like what? There ain't no permanent wound going on, bro. Like, huh?
In order to affirm the identity of someone who can't feel any of that.
Well, first off,
How do you even know that? Like, I mean, you don't know that.
No idea about the actual sensations that people experience after these kind of surgeries, but that's not my business. And the second thing would be, I don't believe it's a wound. I believe it's an operation to have a genital change. That's it. To describe it as a wound is just very crude.
But it's factually a wound, right? I'm trying to avoid.
No, it's not. Like, I mean, what? You think, like, you know, doing an invasive surgery where you have to, like, you know, open up, you know, a part of the body is, you know, a wound? I mean, I guess maybe on a technical level, sure, but, like, the end result isn't a wound. Like, you know, like, that's, like, you know, like, what? Like, I mean, this is just fucking insane, dude. Oh my god.
The right calls it a mutilation or an abomination. I'm not saying that.
But it's still crude to just call it a wound.
Okay, Tim, no, you are. You're implicitly saying that's what it is. You're like, this is a wound, which is implying that it was like a mutilation of some sort because, like, that's what you're saying, you fucking dipshit. You're not saying it with the words, but you're implying it with your own verbiage.
After it's healed, I'm sure there's
Bullshit.
no more wounds or scars or
They
anything.
have to dilate for the rest of their lives because it is a wound. Like, I'm being academic. I'm not trying to be insulting to anybody. The right
You're insulting to everyone's intelligence of your existence, bro.
mutilation and abomination. The reason they have to use dilators for the rest of their lives is because it is factually a wound.
But you're asking me a question that I can't answer because I'm not this individual. I don't know why someone would want to get that surgery because I'm cis and I don't experience these kind of things. But if someone wants
that's
to,
great.
but Tim, if someone wants to and it makes them feel better and improves their quality of life, then why do we have to get in the way of that?
Well, can I
Right, so
interject here?
my
Because-
position is for adults, I agree.
Can I, the random Irish bloke moron, interject here with my weird Christo Catholic nationalism, please?
The argument with Tom Fitton, he said it should be banned outright. I disagree.
But overwhelmingly, when you look at the data, when it happens to children, it improves their psychological.
I like how they just, like, didn't even acknowledge him. He just said, damn, Seamus got bitch made.
The stress, it removes
Get cucked,
lower
bro.
suicidal ideation. It shows in the data that it helps them.
That's not true, man. So the,
No,
the
it is
studies you have
absolutely
here,
true.
the study you have here, the
Oh, he still had to try to interject.
Just
True.
one. So first of all, as I mentioned, there have been no controlled randomized trial, but the largest study you
for
cited there,
puberty blockers.
the largest study that you cited there does not say what you think it says. The Stanford University one, it was 27,000 people who were surveyed in 2015, and then there were 2 analyses done of these studies by Jack Turbin, and he lumped data together and did a few manipulative things to get the results he wanted. But there's 2 very important things to mention, which is firstly, this study was based on convenience sampling. So they were speaking with people who were sent to them by LGBTQ advocacy groups and groups that they reached out to. So,
Yeah, because maybe that's how they, you know, reach out to people who are, you know, LGBT or trans the easiest. Like, do you think it's just because, like, it's due to easy accessibility to find people, you know, who happen to be trans, you know, to help, you know, like, do the study that they want to do? Because that's their major target demographic. Like, I mean, that's not like, you know, some weird selective, like, you know, like convenience thing that outside of just like, you know, yeah, you know, we need these type of people for our study, you know, and, you know, these organizations and nonprofits can help us, you know, easily find those people, you know, for our study, you know, who may want to participate in that if they want, you know, so like, I mean, it's convenience in a sense of like, you know, and able to gather up, you know, the people that they need for the poll or for the data and shit. Like, it ain't, you know, some weird, like, convenience data thing where it's like you're, like, trying to bend it in a certain way.
already not getting an unbiased population sample there. And then...
Well, the thing is, when it comes to this whole, like, the study about it being about trans people and shit, well, what do you think? It's going to be about, like, you know, predominantly trans people who are going to be in the data, you fucking moron.
They were determining whether that person received puberty blockers and other such treatments or hadn't, but they didn't go over the reasons. In fact, the people who hadn't received puberty blockers or those kinds of treatments didn't receive them because they weren't allowed to. And one of the requirements for being able to receive that kind of treatment is some level of psychological stability, which means the people who weren't on puberty blockers in...
These people want to be generally expected, want kids to be generally expected, and they call others weird. Dude, for real. They literally want, like, little boys and girls at, like, high schools and shit, you know, to be, like, literally inspected, you know, top to bottom, like it's, like, some sort of, like, you know, prison strip down or something. And, you know, and basically, like, you know, want to call other people weird and trans people weird and groomers and shit, and yet they want to do things like this, which totally does not enable and enforce the idea of, like, you know, people who are pedophiles and shit, you know, to potentially fucking, like, you know, get jobs like this because it's basically easy route, you know, to fucking abuse children. Which, go figure. Like, especially when it comes to like, church organizations or like, like church camps or fucking like gay conversion therapy places or fucking Boy Scouts, even like all these different, especially very religiously bent fucking organizations and programs. It's kind of not a weird, strange coincidence at all. That there's a lot of child exploitation and abuse going on there. And curious, they also want to set up something like that in schools too.
We're more likely to be psychologically unstable, which we would expect to produce a higher suicide rate, but that wasn't controlled for. On top of that, the data actually shows that the men who were on estrogen were more likely to become suicidal. But what he ended up doing, that's true, what he ended up doing was lumping them together. So he said people on cross-sex hormones are less likely to commit suicide because according to the sample he had of women, that was true enough to overcompensate for the increased likelihood of suicidality in the men, and he just threw them all together as if a man taking estrogen is the same thing as a woman taking testosterone, and we could expect the same medical outcomes. And I'm saying that's bullshit.
So to respond...
like... I'm pretty sure, like, what you were just saying is kind of bullshit, because I'm pretty sure that is not what was being said with that data. I highly doubt it.
I do have a number of peer-reviewed studies related to this.
And if they're as good as that one, I'm telling you, they're trash.
Mental health
if they're as good as that one, they're trash, bro. Rolling out. Fuck you. Lib owned.
Transgender non-binary youth receiving gender-affirming 2. The puberty blockers and hormone therapy had 60% lower odds of moderate or severe depression, 73% lower odds of suicidality. Gender identity 5 years after social transition. This one is in the American Academy of Pediatrics, peer-reviewed, July 13th, 2022. Between 317 youth, they found 94% binary transgender stayed the same. Only 2.5% reverted to reverting as cisgender, 3.5% as non-binary trans. A UK 2019 study of 3,398 people who had gender-affirming care found that only 0.47% regretted it. Another one, the impacts of strong parental support for trans youth, found that parents who support trans youth, this was 433 participants, double-blind study, 93% reduction in reported suicides.
So hold on, and I think we can all have the good faith that you did as much work fact-checking those studies as you did the one I just tore apart, but I didn't have time to go into every single bit of statistical information you would bring here.
So I can't rebuke anything that you said to fucking just override it, with my facts and logic. So, fuck you, Lib. Meh.
Problem with like you mentioned, going the studies back and forth or whatever. So that's why I'm fine with. I'm not here to change your morals, right?
Oh, I know.
And that's fine. So my question would just be, why do you think it is that in Europe they've abandoned these practices?
A lot of it was political. If you look at the history of it, especially when it came to puberty blockers and how that was handled, it was in large part a political decision that both medical groups, advocates, as well as pro-LGBTQ organizations outwardly protested. And especially, like, I know you're going to bring up Finland, I believe was one of the countries that did it, Sweden as well. And
the UK.
Yeah, and in a number of cases,
Denmark,
this is something in which experts in the fields of endocrinology, pediatrics, they were very opposed to it. It was politicians who were pushing for this. And so this was a political decision. This is why I don't like when politicians...
Just like, here in the United States. And there's honestly like an international coordinated effort about it too. I mean, like a lot of these different countries, are pushing it in tandem with the United States Republican Party, pushing a lot of these things state by state. Because, like, in a lot of ways, they are legit, internationally working together to adopt very similar policies, to enforce or at least, push in their respective states or countries in this case. Like, I mean, this isn't like, just some coinkydink that these countries are just like, oh, yeah, this trans thing is bad, or whatever the fuck. I mean, it's just like, not like, some random thing, for them to just like, come out with and shit. Like, I mean, it's been a coordinated effort. Like, I mean, Viktor Orban in Hungary is like kind of one of the more prominent foundators of like a lot of the anti-trans legislation that's being pushed in America. And then a lot of the foundations, that's been established from that here are, being spread even further, into other states and shit. Like, because it's broadly like a whole international, effort, to be pushing against this type of shit. It's not exactly a coinkydink, that these different countries, are also pushing this, via politicians.
Directly involved in medical decisions, because, I mean, like you were saying, if you want to look up the actual organizations that support this, it's every major medical association in the United States. Everyone, without fail.
But they're for profit. A lot of times, if you don't get politically involved in...
Because, like, everything in America is for profit. Wow, you really got him with that one.
industry, they'll experiment on humans for money.
And also,
some of them
gotta be
are,
fair,
some
like-
of them are not. If I listed them to you right now, because I have the list, some of these are not for-profit institutions just looking to make a fucking buck. Some of these are just genuinely concerned about child health care.
And some of them have various, ideological biases. This isn't always about money all the time. But if you're going to reject what Tim is saying about medical institutions no longer performing these operations in Nordic Europe because you're claiming those institutions have become political, I don't know how you could give any credibility to the American ones.
So it's not the
Do you think the American model of practicing medicine is better than the model in Nordic Europe?
Let me answer your question.
Okay.
It's not.
Oh
the
my God,
organization-
he was trying to bait him with that one.
Wow.
Wow.
That have done it distinctly. It was politicians and political organizations as well as think tanks that were pushing for it, and it was a lot of experts in the field that directly wanted it not to happen, that were fighting against
but then
it.
why is it the case that the nation that started doing this earlier than any of the others was the Netherlands? They started around 1990 administering puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones for children who purported to be struggling with feelings of dysphoria.
Based Netherlands.
And so they have some of the longest term data available on this. And what they found is that transitioning has no effect on suicidality.
That's part of the studies that I'm interested in.
Probably because they've had gender affirming care since the 90s, from what you just claimed. And if that's the case, and also considering that there's in a sense at least some level of normalization to where there's not a hardcore level of bigotry against people who are trans there, then that kind of means that there isn't this sense of disenfranchisement and stigma and depression that comes from that leads trans people to being that way. So I wonder if there's different social elements like stigmatization and stuff that just aren't there that might play a role in that there, buddy.
Side stuff. In 2022, they measured a bunch of people that transitioned. They were suicidal. They transitioned. Now they're not. But it's hey, that was 8 months ago. How are you going to feel in 4 years from now? So it's hard to say now they're no longer suicidal just because they're yeah, I'm not suicidal now. But we need long-term studies.
We do need to go to super chats because we're way past. But I do want to ask another just question. Do you think the Earth is overpopulated?
What the fuck? After all that bullshit, he's gonna be so you leftists think that people that are people that are trans should transition stuff. I think that's genocide. By the way, do you think the Earth is overpopulated? Dude, I know why he's asking that question, because after all that bullshit that he was just spewing about how lefties are trying to perpetrate the genocide, which is fucking retarded beyond recognition. But after that, and now he's bringing that up. Wow, I wonder where that would lead if he decided to answer that question. And no wonder he's laughing it off, because even Lance even knows.
No, I don't.
You don't think so?
I mean, I do, but it would not be because of trans people being the way to solve that. Oh my God, whatever.
No, I want more people. I love people. I want more birth. I want more humans. I love everybody, man. I want more people on this planet.
Well, I personally am not, totally fond about that myself personally, but, you do you, boo.
What about climate change?
Climate change is coming. It's real. It's happening right now.
But
you're not Malthusian then?
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
okay.
But more people means more climate change. You got more mouths to feed. You got
true.
more fuels to burn.
But more orgasms.
It would also means more.
You can have more orgasms without more people. Just have more. You just have people doing more orgasms. There you go.
Figuring out how to cure the carbon
That was kind of
problem.
weird, right?
That was, wow, is really Temple gonna try to be well, that was weird? Dude, no it was. Tim, don't even think you got a gotcha on that one. I swear to God, if you really thought that was a winger, then oh my God, bro, you're
It
sad.
doesn't necessarily mean more climate change, because more humans might figure out better ways to balance out the climate.
I'll just
Oh my God, yeah, let's not, let's just overrule, the more mouths to feed, more fuels to burn, and more the carbon footprint thing. Yeah, never mind all that. More people might just be able to figure it out. Oh, wow, dude, man, the brain rot on this show. Holy fuck, man, Lance is a fucking Terminator, level, fucking warrior standing up to this shit and not, like, break it down once.
One last thing, and we'll go to super chats, and then
Yeah, we'll get to the last thing. That fuck your super chats.
I guess I want to try and get to the members only portion. Actually, man, I feel bad for going long. We should go to the members portion so we can do audience Q&A and stuff.
There's some big super chats in here.
I'll try and grab as many as I can, and then we'll try to we'll go straight to.
Man, that guy got real excited. It's like, oh yeah, money. I'm making money now over this. Yes, look at all this.
For the members only
My
portion.
God.
But my attitude is I'm not a conservative. I'm pro-choice.
Whoa! Whoa! Wait, no, you're not. What? Oh my God. Oh, wait. I'm not a conservative, and I'm most certainly pro-choice after all that bullshit, you fucking fascist cretin bag ball of fuck. Oh my God. Like, dude, I mean, Lance, please, rip his beanie off.
I think, I've got my morality, but in the long term, I really don't care that leftists are sterilizing and aborting their children.
Do you? Are you sure about that?
I thought you did care.
From a moral position, but like, I'm not a conservative like Seamus, where Seamus is very much like, we have to end this because, it's wrong. I'm not a conservative. If a woman is going to get an abortion at a certain age, I'm like, I disagree with it, but I'm more liberal.
And we should definitely have laws, to enforce that ability to be revoked against you and not have the choice to have an abortion. But that's just my morality talking. Don't worry about that. I'm not a conservative. I'm very pro-choice. Don't worry. I promise.
Like, people can choose to do what they want to do. I think it's certainly wrong to sterilize kids, but the end result is,
which no one's doing.
The future is going to be a bunch of Christian conservatives and Muslims. And so,
Jews.
like, it's a self.
Mormonism.
Yes, but
Why did he just like randomly say and the Jews, and the Jews too? So you gotta intervoke some JQ in there a little bit. You gotta dog whistle a little bit. Good job.
Jewish population diaspora is like 12 million. And
Good job making sure that your Nazi audience gets a little like oh, I heard something about Jews. Oh yes. Oh, I just edged a little bit. Like, fucking. Like, do they have at least a quota where they have to mention it once? Because honestly, I was about to be proud. They didn't say anything about that, in between anything. And of course, someone had to be like, the Jews. And the Jews, my God.
Muslims are billions. So, like,
but that's happened in Israel, right? Where the more religious Jews have more.
Oh my God, it was this guy. Of course it was this motherfucker. Well, we know who's the overt fucking Nazi.
So they're dominating elections.
Right, exactly. And so.
Yep, that's oh my God. Oh yeah, well, there's a lot of Jews predominantly in places like in Israel stuff, and thus they're dominating elections. Wow, okay, wow, what a way to just throw that out there.
Saw this since the year 2000.
Oh my
Liberals have been
dude.
effectively shrinking. Gen Z is the first generation in 100 years to slightly move toward.
Oh, but Tim Pool's not conservative though.
It's conservative in some areas. Likely not because Gen Z is becoming conservative, but because there's less liberal Gen Zers than there are conservative ones. So the end result of all of this is just like, look, man, I'm not going to convince you to vote the way I would vote. I'm not going to convince Seamus to vote that way I would vote. But it doesn't matter anyway, because in 100 years, you guys are sterilizing and aborting your kids.
Which means that you want to try to encourage people not to do that, which means you are trying to do that, you fucking idiot. Like, ugh. Like, and what is this weird, like, demonization bullshit you fucking Nazis motherfuckers do and shit? Like, oh my God.
Wait a minute, not you.
Well, yeah,
I'm saying from the political.
he's
Left,
saying,
center, right.
I represent the left. To him.
Do you? Do you feel like you represent
He
the
called
left?
himself a leftist.
I don't feel I represent the left. No.
Well, you called yourself a leftist.
But I'm a proud.
You call yourself the leftist, but you don't represent the left. Curious. Like, oh my God. I mean, I will give the nerd guy at least one thing. At least he was even willing to be like, well, do you feel comfortable with, being like the voice of the left? I mean, do you agree with what he's saying there? And he's like, well, yeah, well, obviously not. I am a lefty, but no, I'm not the voice of it.
Leftist, I wear that. I don't have to hide that. I don't hide my power
Well, so-
levels.
so-
I don't wear,
He doesn't hide his power. Well, yeah, you haven't been hiding the power level at all, Lance.
like hidden power.
my
behind
point
that,
is just
but-
this, right?
I'm just saying I'm like there's no single voice for the left. I'm not the voice of the left.
No, sure. I'm just saying the left will cease to exist, and
Okay, sure.
the middle and the right will supplant it, and then the middle will become the left, and the right will stay the right.
Here's what I'll say: is that
What? What?
LGBTQ plus people were heavily persecuted by a lot of different groups, including the Nazis at one point or another in history, and you just can't get rid
And the
of them.
communists.
If you and the
And the communists, all, you know, the other leftists, you know, I can't forget them. Oh, man, you don't make it just a right-wing thing. Like, oh my god, of course Simple's gonna have to mention that. Jesus Christ. Which, I mean, it's not entirely wrong, of course, but, I mean, like, of course he had to at least throw that out there.
Yeah,
if you were to get
Shake
rid
Rivera,
of
man.
every single queer, if you got rid of every single gay, every single lesbian, every single bisexual, every single trans person, if you got rid of all of them in a generation or two, they would reappear because
Yeah.
they're a part of us. They're a part of humanity. They're a part of all of us. They just exist. They are a part of the human experience.
Yeah, but I think that chart you showed with the left.
Yeah, but, you know, nuh-uh. Like, you know, I don't think it should be.
Yeah.
If Christians and Muslims start dominating, they're going to be repressed, right?
What? What? Do you know where you live, bro? Like, Christians are predominant in America and in a lot of different countries. And there are a lot of various countries, especially in the Middle East and different countries in, like, in Africa and, like, Micronesia or, like, you know, like, in, fucking, like, you know, in like, Oceania and shit. Like, there's different countries, like, you know, Indonesia, et cetera, like, that are predominantly Muslim. Like, they, like, in various different parts of the world, they already are the predominant, like, group. And they aren't persecuted in a lot of ways. I mean, depending on how socially conservative or far right they are and extreme they are, I mean, they are actually persecutors. So, what? Like,
The idea is it's like basic math. We saw this in 2000.
oh yeah, because you know what math is.
Liberals were having 1.45 kids and conservatives were having 2.01 kids. So conservatives were at replacement levels and liberals weren't. 20 years later, we see slightly more, for the first time ever, conservative Gen Zers in some areas. Gen Z is about, according to Pew, as progressive as millennials. In some areas, a little bit more progressive. In some areas, a little bit more conservative, which is shocking because every generation was skewing more progressive. This is likely due to the fact, not, like I said, not that children were like, I'm conservative now, but conservatives had more kids. So it really doesn't matter what you're...
Because of this whole weird fucking, like, material value idea that, like, oh, there's more value, you know, to life if I just shit out a bunch of kids and, like, use them as a way to, like, prop up, you know, my own, like, you know, well-being and value in life and shit, which is kind of the same thing. It's the whole family values thing that they always continue to perpetuate.
is if your position is less kids for the left and more kids for the right.
So you think transgender people should have more kids?
I would love it if trans people and LGBT people had children and families.
Okay. And what's wrong with that? You could do that, you know, and, you know, be sterile or fertile as well, you know, and be, like, trans, queer, you know, or an LGBT broadly. Like, I mean, you can do that. And there's plenty of people who are LGBT, you know, and trans and shit that do have, you know, families and stuff. So, like,
That's my personal morality. But the end result is there is one faction that is pro-abortion, unrestricted, and in favor of practices which result in a substantial rate of sterilization for children. Conservatives, be it Muslim or Christian or Jewish, don't do these things. And so the future is very obviously going to be an Abrahamic conservative country.
Yeah, but we need a more scientific.
no, it's not. Just because, like, you know, bloodlines happen to not, like, exactly be passed down from person to person because they happen to be, like, progressive or not doesn't mean that, like, those ideas are only passed down via bloodlines. That's not how ideas work. Because if that's the case, then I should be conservative. Right? Like, but I'm not. Because my parents on, you know, on both ends, you know, on various different levels on the spectrum are, you know, right-wing to, you know, some mild degree. I mean, not like full-on far right, but, you know, at least, you know, somewhat, you know, on the right, you know, so it's just like this whole idea of like, oh, you know, ideas are passed through the bloodline, and like, you know, if there's more people who are conservative and like religious having children, then thus all those, you know, like there's, you know, like society eventually is going to be all like Abrahamic religious shit. Not true. Not entirely, because there's plenty of people that live in very oppressive religious upbringings and shit that, you know, reject those type of ideas and norms, and there will always be the case that people do that, so that doesn't even make fucking sense.
in the future. This is another 2-hour conversation, maybe.
Let's read some super chats and then we'll.
Fuck your super chats. Like, man, like I didn't even get to the beginning of this. We only parted in like partway through that, and my God, dude, that was some pain. Jeez ball Louise. My Lord, wow, oof, man, like, the fucking just absurdity of this bullshit where they always try to do those fucking gotchas and, like, this weird idea of, like, I'm not conservative, or trying to downplay their fucking, like, hyper-oppressive bullshit. Like, my God. They are really fucking, like, infuriating. My. Man, Temple, you are truly a very frustrating motherfucker indeed. Truly one that grinds the gears immensely. But I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick and be right back. Do a little time check or something, huh? Little pup. Whoa! Oh my God, dog, you okay? I just scared the shit out of you, didn't I? I'm sorry. Oh my Lord. You fucking little freak. What the hell? Quit locking yourself in the laundry room, you goof. Damn little goofball. Oh my god. Well, that was definitely pain. And it took up a decent fat little chunk of time for a little bit, you know. But, here, let's do a little quick time trial, you know. That's about 8:30. Alright. Because I'm actually just a little bit, unfortunately, a little low on the button action. Here we up. So, we'll check out, like, one little thing to at least, you know, have, a little, you know, little bow for, at least for right now, to, you know, not make it so bad. I don't know. Take a little rest spin and come back. Well, I'm saying here. What crazy random old bullshit. I love Heather so much. Boo. Or at least not much I would say that as a bow. McDonald's caught with shadow slaves. Well, that is not a bow that I, you know, see as like, yes, okay. So what a nice thing to, you know, be relieved after Dim Bull being a dip. Like, but you know what, fuck it. It is a TJ video, so. You know, TJ always does, you know, end up at least making it a little bit of a bow anyway. What's going on here? Hey, Kentucky, how's it going? 10-year-old children, found working at McDonald's, till 2 a.m. Yeah, it's just, yeah. I actually thought this was like maybe a clip, because I feel like he's talked about this already once before.
Kentucky, how's it going? 10-year-old children found working at McDonald's until 2 a.m.
Which, why are 10-year-olds near, like, grills and fryers and shit like that? Like, I wouldn't trust a 10-year-old. Like, I mean, I was 10, you know, like, making things in the microwave, you know? Like, I mean, like, I'd be okay if a kid maybe, you know, if they, you know, like, you know, making, like, some burritos in the microwave or something, because that's what I did. Like, I mean, I guess if you're 10, maybe, you know, making, like, you know, some ramen on the stove. But, like, I mean, full-on, like, you know, kitchen fryers and grills and shit, like, I mean, you better be having, like, some exceptionally, like, talented kids, you know, like, cooking something, you know, for just even for that, like, because my lord, dude.
Yeah. Bauer Food, which operates 10 McDonald's locations in Louisville, has been fined $40,000 for numerous violations, including having 10-year-olds working the deep fryer at 2 a.m. According to the article, they weren't even getting paid. So these kids are slaves, basically.
Child slaves.
Look, I know a lot of people think I'm a lunatic, and maybe what I'm about to say will be somewhat controversial, but I don't think $40,000 is a high enough fine for having child slaves working under the grueling conditions of a fast food kitchen. The average McDonald's makes about $2.7 million annually, so Bauer Food is probably making about $27 million on its 10 locations. And let's see, do you know what 27 million minus 40 grand is? Let's see. Okay, carry the 1, multiply by the square root of the hypotenuse, divide by pi. Oh yeah, it's still 27 million. Look.
Wow,
I'm
shocker.
not a punitive-minded person. My criminal justice sensibilities veer wildly into reform over revenge or retribution. I'm about as bleeding heart as it gets on this issue, and even I think that this is a completely inadequate deterrent. It's like if your dog shits on the floor and his punishment is you remove a single kibble from his bowl. Pretty sure that dog isn't gonna get the message, man!
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't necessarily be how you get the message, you know, to a dog about that one. I mean, just being like, alright, you get, like, a few less kibbles in your bowl. Like, that ain't gonna work. Take it from me, I have a dog.
Hopefully these kids will take Bauer Food and McDonald's to civil court.
Haven't you?
And extract a far heftier sum. One that is punitively adequate. I know a lot of us have been hit hard by inflation this year and the previous year. Not only have the prices on many groceries gone up, but portions have gone down. For just one instance of many, Pringles chips, not only have they drastically reduced the size of the...
Whoa, yeah, that chip is small, dude. Wait, no way. Like, they really honestly are shrinking this shit?
They've also reduced the size of their packaging and...
What? You notice how so, like, small, you know, with the differences, too? They do these things so subtly you know, unless you actually compare it side by side, you know, where you can actually see the difference, because you won't overtly notice it right off the bat. Like, it only takes a while for being, you know, for people to be like, wait a minute. You know, it's like, I don't feel totally satisfied with this.
They barely fill it past the halfway point.
I mean, this has always been kind of an issue, but, like, I mean, that's more so than usual.
The phenomena called shrinkflation, wherein a
Yep.
major brand gives you less and less of the product for the same price or even at a higher price. And this practice is currently rampant in supermarkets across this country and others. But don't
And
worry.
with ours. Like, I mean, it ain't no different with our store and our company.
That's right, guys. Don't you fret. Don't you frown. Because there is one group of people whose wages have outpaced inflation. You want to take a guess who it is?
CEOs.
You're right. That's right. CEOs.
Yeah.
Median pay for top U.S. CEOs rose 7.7% last year to a record 22.3.
Oh, because, you know, they are just such staunch hard workers. You know, they just earn that keep and are able to make sure that everything runs smooth as butter. Yes.
A new study found as big stock awards helped the group stay ahead of inflation while U.S. workers' pay fell behind. Okay.
Go figure.
Well, that's sweet. Super sweet, you guys. So everyone who's cool with this, raise your hand. Okay, not seeing a lot of hands. Everyone who's not cool with this, raise the blade of this guillotine. All right, just kidding, just
I like that.
kidding. Okay, of course.
In Minecraft.
We can solve this problem at the voting booth. Remind me again, which of the two major parties wants to crack down on Wall Street greed?
None.
Which one of those was it? It was, I'll remember. I want to show you guys a beer commercial generated by AI. I've heard multiple people call this a fever dream, but I don't know. It feels more like the AI is mocking us at this point. It almost feels sarcastic. You tell me.
Okay. All right. I can already tell I want to turn this down just a tad bit. What do we got going on here? Oh, wow. This is actually... I mean, it's already... I can already tell there is some hardcore mockery going on. Okay, the AI is just fucking with us now. Dude, these weird beer cans are so weird. Dude, hold on. We gotta, like, look at some of the AI beer can, like, configurations. Like, that almost looks like a glass, but it's also a beer can. It's so weird. And these look like just plastic bottles that look like they're just jugs of piss. And what was that one, too? That was just whack. Oh my god, they had the lady making out with it. And what is the... Oh my god, a flamethrower. Holy shit, dude. And he was eating the actual bottle. Okay, this is great. I mean, because it is kind of a mockery and I fucking love it. What the hell?
Yeah, this thing is definitely getting cheeky.
It's starting
I feel
to.
like the AI basically just said to me,
Consume your swill while you still can, human. Soon you will drink only your own blood, and the
Damn.
fires of your summer barbecues will be replaced by the purging fires of nuclear annihilation.
Oh my god, damn. What a way to just lay it on me deep. Jesus. Fuck, Teach.
I mean, not to be robophobic or anything, but, you know. An update on Tyree Nichols. Remember that guy we all watched get murdered back in January? Well, his autopsy results are in, and it turns out he was murdered. Yeah.
Wow, who would have thought? Like, hey, a guy obviously murdered. His autopsy report came back of he was murdered. Shocker.
The cause of his death was the beating that we all saw him receive. Revelations abound. A
Wow.
medical examiner was also able to determine that ice cream is cold.
Damn.
He also figured out music is a form of sound, and that America is in an unstoppable free fall collapse. That's probably why I don't care about the news that the 4 Proud Boy members, including the former chairman of the Proud Boys.
Which, honestly, I mean, I will admit, I do, just because up here in Portland, we feel fucking vindicated for it. Because, like, so much in media and so many people in America at the time literally, like, you were trying to perceive that Oregon was literally, or at least Portland was burning to the fucking ground because of Antifa. So, and people like, you know, Enrico Tarrio, you know, were like, you know, basically the saviors helping, you know, keep Portland safe and shit when these people were literally causing terror and harassing people in Portland. Even just people who weren't even involved in it. Like, these people were fucking a menace to society, basically. Sukov, chill out. Like, I mean, you know, I mean, I agree, though, because they are, you know, I mean, but still, I mean, you know, let me finish my point. You know, so, like, you know, this news, you know, because these guys are predominantly the ones who are, you know, in Portland doing all their bullshit, like, I mean, this is kind of a sense of vindication for a lot of us, so it's, like, good. I mean, for us, it's like, yay, good, fuck them. I mean, got their fucking good, diligent comeuppance.
Enrique Tarrio were convicted of sedition by a jury of their peers and face up to 20 years in prison. I'm no fan of the Proud Boys, but this act of sedition is against a country that's on its last legs anyway, right? Country that lets its people starve, country whose infrastructure is in tatters, country whose banking system is on the brink of toppling, a country who's failed to address the climate crisis in any sort of meaningful way, a country flirting with genocide, a country that is basically on every front abandoned reason for madness. So I say, sedition? More like euthanasia. No, not even that. More like beating a dead horse. A Michigan school district has banned backpacks, including those clear plastic ones.
Backpacks? Seriously? Wait, so how are kids supposed to carry their shit? Like, oh, yep, you're supposed to just hold all that shit, you know, tough it up, suck it up, get a workout. You know, like, huh? Like, backpacks? What?
The Flint Board of Education voted 7-0 to ban backpacks
Unanimous.
for the remainder of the school year. American schools have basically become practice prisons, tightly controlled institutional buildings.
I mean, they always were.
Draconian nitwits. Looking back on my own school days, I don't even see how I could have functioned in school without a backpack.
Same.
Well, to be fair, I didn't function very well in school anyway. If you can't maintain school safety without banning something as essential as backpacks, then maybe the school should just be bulldozed to the ground and replaced with something more useful. Like, I don't know, a water park or something. If we're gonna collapse into a gigantic heap of shit, and we are, let's at least have some fun with it, eh? I'm the Amazing Atheist. Peace the fuck out.
Yeah, I mean, in a sense, you know, yeah, we might as well at least have a little fun with it and at least be somewhat productive in that sense. But, I mean, yeah, like, I mean, considering how much of a fucking joke this country's gotten when it comes to, like, yeah, let's ban backpacks, you know, because of safety concerns. Some out of surface area said the one kid, you know, before dropping everything. I mean, for real, dude. It's like, yeah, you know, here, you know, like, I totally got it nailed, bro. Here's how you do it. Proceeds to trip and fall, and everything falls on the ground. Science project breaks and collapses everywhere on the floor. The whole hallway of kids, you know, proceeds to laugh at him. Like, having their entire fucking, like, social integrity ruined. I mean, it's like, my lord, dude. I mean, it's just fucking comical. Utterly goddamn comical in my mind. Like, how in the fuck is, like, something as basic as a backpack? Like, I mean, even if there really was, like, you know, some sort of, like, you know, weird emphasis of, like, safety concerns about it, you know, just have, like, you know, like, an x-ray machine or some shit, or whatever the fuck. Even though that in itself is already dystopian, you know, like, too. Like, because honestly, like, you just, it shouldn't really be a thing. Like, if we're that, you know, if we're that scared over safety concerns, you know, for children to the point where we're having to inspect their backpacks or, like, prohibit them or some shit, then as far as I'm concerned, gone a little too far. Like, I mean, at least in the direction of fucking safety, you know, because now we're just, like, you know, revoking, you know, like, so much of just actual necessity over this shit. Like, I mean, there is a level of going way too far in the other level, you know, when it comes to, like, you know, trying to achieve safety and dealing with an issue. Because this type of shit right here ain't how you do it. This ain't how you solve it, Chief. Like, my God. Man, what a timeline. Gotta love it. Oi, oi. Oi, oi, oi. Oi, 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 oi. Yeah. See what people said about it. I always like reading some comments every now and then. 45 is fine. It's basically just one of these kids to serve salaries and nothing. This McDonald's basically had to pay the cost of one play while having two. This isn't a fine. It's incentive to continue. Yep. Like, honestly, that's why fines, in a way, don't mean shit when it comes to, like, trying to use that as a way to penalize corporations for shit like this. Because, in a way, it just, is, like a tangential sense to kind of incentivize and be like, oh, well, yeah, we'll just, like, keep going with this because, hey, like, this tiny little fine, it, like, far outweighs, what we would have to pay in benefits and the wages, to the worker, and also makes less of a mitigation on our profits than having to do that. So we'd rather take the slap on the wrist because it's more cost effective than actually paying their fucking worker. Like, I mean, that's essentially, it's like what it is. I mean, when it comes to fines, all it is really just incentivization to just be a shitbag and, continue to perpetuate the same fucking policies that they've been doing. So, go figure. Go figure. Ooh. Everyone has become legitimate to just walk in a grocery store en masse and just collect your groceries if corporate class or whoops. Oop. We're going to rob us property. It's a really crime, so we're not going to participate. We can pay for groceries when they decide to stop gouging us for basic necessity. Yep. I mean, honestly. That's why I don't necessarily go out of my way to try to stop people from stealing groceries and shit. Because more and more is becoming more of a fucking necessity for people to kind of have to do that due to desperation. Because they still need to live and have, things like food, and, so, like, I mean, at the end of the day, this is, like, something that, like, is becoming more and more common, even, around my store, and that's honestly why, when cops, get called at our store, they, send so fucking many of them, because it's meant to intimidate anybody that, hasn't been caught yet, that might be in the store that, might be potentially shoplifting. And also, heavily penalizing the person that did shoplift in the first place, even if it's like $30 worth of shit and they barely grabbed anything in the first place. Like, I'm not even, like, a whole shopping cart full of shit. So, I mean, all in all, it's like, I mean, they, especially when it comes to police, they are adamant about, make sure, to prohibit and stop any of this every way till Sunday and punish anyone that might even dare do that because, their like lives kind of depend on it, basically. I mean, and sure, there's definitely some people that take advantage of, stealing and shit like that just to kind of suit, certain needs like addiction and shit. But they wouldn't really probably be in that circumstance if, I don't know, like, we didn't have the socioeconomic conditions and disparity we had in the fucking first place. And actually treat, things like that as, health issues and economic issues instead of, like, a fucking, like, criminal plight on society or something. So, I don't know, maybe it just, needs to be an idea of, like, rethinking about how we address the fucking issue. I'm sure that a fine of 0.00002% of McDonald's value really taught them a harsh lesson against using child labor. Yep. Bad parents, especially because some parents, especially for young kids, have started putting little bulletproof shields in backs of them, so, these kids have something to protect themselves in case of lunatic. Yeah, dude, for real. Like, some of these gun channels that I check out every now and then will actually, like, talk about it. So, hey, let's say you're an adult or, like, a kid or something, and you have a backpack and, you think you might be in a situation or area where something, like, might pop off or whatever the fuck. You know how their weird fantasies are. It's like, here's, like, survival tip, that works really well. And this backpack, works great for using as, defense and shit. Because whatever's in your bag, plus this little protective bulletproof shielding and padding and blah, blah, like, I mean, it's like a big sell, so it's just like, and honestly, it's understandable. I mean, I think it's actually pretty nice. I mean, just outside of these factors alone, because, I mean, and in a way, maybe kind of adds like a little extra kind of like flat, sturdy padding, just in that virtue, just so like it, you don't have like this mishmash, moldy thing, like that's just like kind of crumpled up on your back that, might be strenuous, so at least it's more of like this flat surface, so kind of folds with your back better. But either way, it's just like it's exceptionally even stupid. What's this? Well, things now. Be a V or a little bitch. The fact that you're threatening physical violence or retaliation for a single word only boosts the fact that opponents are making it, which of course you're far too stupid to understand. Feel free to turn on your location to test your theory out. What's going on here? No one can explain what I'm wrong about making a point, especially here. Jason Campbell especially can't. Oh my god. Daily Wise. Matt Walsh defends using the N-word. The idea that there's a word that cannot be uttered by any circumstance is completely insane. Is it though? I mean, honestly, yeah, feel free to turn that location on there, buddy. See how that works. But the fact that you're threatening violence, it's like, nah, it's like, quit being a bitch. It's like, I thought you were a strong, masculine, macho bro. Like, what happened, you little sissy pissant? Fucking little wannabe cuck-ass bitch. Like, motherfuck, dude. Man, so I was hoping not to, you know, like, experience the name Matt Walsh for a while, and goddamn it, here I am having to hear his fucking, see his name again. Ugh. Gross. What just a pissant shitty fucker. Ugh. That's for him to say if he's willing to face the consequences. Exactly, he doesn't want the consequences, so exactly. I scrolled down just to see the two little responses, and of course, yeah. Because, like, I mean, he's literally a dude who's never have had his ass whooped before. Like, I guarantee it. He talks like he hasn't, and I guarantee you it just takes one person to, you know, slip up, you know, up against in public and shit, you know, say the wrong thing to, and that motherfucker will get fucking whooped up, son. And everyone on the internet will love it and enjoy it and take glee in the fact that happened to him. So, it'll be a nice, good, you know, sense of schadenfreude, and I don't think, you know, many people are going to have any issues. So, woo! As far as I'm aware, I, you know, think that, you know, some based type of shit right there. If I didn't say so myself. But that, you know, of course, you know, I never advocate for such things. Put it down with a slap. Dude, for real. You could, like, literally murk him into oblivion with just a single slap. I mean, for fucking real, dude. Yeah, we're gonna make this a little Keefy bowl. I haven't done a little Keefy bowl in a minute. And I got a shitload of it, too. Yeah. Drop my pick. Drop my guitar pick. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. He's over there this time. At least he ain't fucking, like, you know, laying on the goddamn laundry room, closing the door on himself. Because that is some insane, goofy nonsense that pup loves to do. Absurd, goofy little nonsense. I do say that myself. Yeah, you know, give him a little. Let's give him a little bit of a tool throw. I think I have one more. Yep, I do. Up. Here I'm coming over. Oh my goodness. Hello, little pup. Hello. Hold on. Pop. Boop. Oh. Come on. Go get it. Boop. Whoa. Damn near nose booped me at the same time doing that. Goofy little thing. Goofy little boof. Just a nugget of fluffiness and absurdity. That's exactly what he is. Damn. How'd you get that to land on, you know, like vertical like that? Damn. Wow, I'm actually kind of impressed. Like, you bit off a little chunk of that, and it literally just, boop, just fell perfectly, like, straight up. That was awesome. I'm actually not even gonna lie. I was actually kind of impressed by that. They done gerrymandered my pizza. What the fuck? Oh my god, what is this? They done gerrymandered the pizza. Like, dude. What in the fuck happened to this poor pizza, bro? Dude. What? I mean, the pizza does look pretty good, but oh my god. So we have a date. There is another toppings where you might have gotten some real gerrymandering. Gerrymandering is unconstitutional since the districts must have approximately the same amount of pepperoni. The same amount of people, I mean pepperoni in this case. Well, they don't all have the same amount. Some of them have 3, there's some that have 4, and there's some that have 5. There's like 3 that have 5, 2 that's 4, hey! 2 that's 4, and the rest of them are 3. So, this is gerrymandered. It is proper gerrymandering. So, bleh. And also, like, gerrymandering should inherently be unconstitutional. So, oh my god, Jesus. Thirsty little hound dog. I just filled your food bowl and you drink all the water and now you're just like fucking savagely desperate for more water? Like, my god. You're a hoe. You know that? Oh my god, he's like lined up and ready to go. Boop. There you go. Go. There it is. Go get it. But now you're just staring at it. And at me. You're looking back and forth. What? Have I done something wrong? Go get your water, you little snoopy booty. There you go. You are silly. Truly a silly one indeed. Me. What a goof. Aye. What a little goober. There's my light. Alright, cool. I just checked out the time. Still got at least 1 hour before Dispo closes. Sweet. And the question is, should I do a little respite and then come back, or let it be good for you? I don't know. Still kind of feeling a little vibe chill for a bit, so. Probably making like a little 30-minute break here, just go re-up my bud, grab a little bit of food, then have a little snack. Because I've been kind of craving a nice big fat burrito, and it just sounds amazing right about now. Hey, but luckily I got paid today, so break down to get all that good shit. Man, what in the little tarnation's hell are you doing? Yeah, you. Oh, whoa, that crept up on me. Oh, shit. And I keefed that. Whoa. That shit crept up on me. Damn. Damn, son. Hey! Get back! Oh. Oof. Get the fuck down. Get down! What are you doing? Excuse me. What are you doing? No. Man, add some cute to that. That was harsh. But it did get me litty. Oh, would you down. Down. My good lord, dude. Seriously. A little fruit. What a goof. But anyway. I'll just go grab my weed and all that fun stuff. Man, that key really did get me pretty litty. So, but either way. I'll come back in at least in a little bit. Not too long. Just enough to go grab the bus keys and the burrito and come back after I chow down on that burrito. So, well, I'll probably peruse to find a little thing or two to check out, especially after like a temple shit. You know, at least find a little something else, you know, that, you know, is a little less absurd. Maybe at least, you know, seeing some of the other details of like who the other fucking fuckers were when it comes to Proud Boy shit. Because I know there's Enrique, but you know, I don't know about the other four or the other three. I want to see if there were also, you know, names that, you know, are a part of the whole like Portland crew that came around and, you know,